elections, but there is no one who can go just say, I win unconstitutional what they apply.
If they do decide to invoke, whatever it is that they can invoke, or if they do decide to want to say we want to amend, the constitution, how is that unconstitutional when the mechanism is there for them to do that?
How are they going to amend the constitution? Because the constitution is clear that the incumbent is not supposed to benefit from that. So how are they going to do it?
No,
let's say they do that. Yes, they do that. But how are they going to pass that test of saying the incumbent must not benefit from that clause?
They'll simply amend that says that.
How are they going to do that? That's where my challenge is, because it's not possible.
I can't even bring in the issue of morality.
So,
well, politicians are politicians.
Yes.
They can do whatever that they feel like they want to do. You understand? But I am just saying that as it stands, right now.
Yes.
Given the provisions that are there in the Constitution, because one thing that we need to be aware of is that Constitution can be changed.
Yeah, but
right?
the way they can change it, how are they going to change it to meet him to be there? Because already right now we already know that it's actually impossible for them to do that.
Right.
We know that it's impossible for them to do that. So the only way they are going to do it, it's gonna be unconstitutional way of doing it. For example, like what they did with Malaba. We know that it's unconstitutional. He's there unconstitutional. They increased his term limits, unconstitutional. It's like forcing the people. No one who agreed on that, and we know that they're abusing all the state power that they have to do those things. So that's the same thing that is going to apply here. So that's why I'm now saying it's going to become a national issue if they continue doing that, because there are now people who are also not people who are there in terrible bloodshed that was going to happen. Is it going to be the case right now if that kind of a setup happened again? That's where the problem it is. So that's why I say this Precade farm thing, it's becoming more of a national threat. We are seeing what is happening in other countries, right? We have the setup which is happening in Sudan. We have what is happening with these other countries. So that is the situation that we, because wherever there is no constitution, the constitution is not, no one is going to be following it up. We are breeding. They will come also saying, they'll find a way to come in and convince other people within our country to the same things. So it becomes more of a security pickup. These people, we can blame them, but but you say these people, they go to bed to pick up as people who have their. So we don't have anything to do with them. Like no one space but him 20 but
that one can be amended. It can be amended to say that we want to abolish the term limits because that's the one that speaks to the issue of term limits. So it can be amended. Maybe let's change it to 3 terms, or we abolish, undertaken section 28 of the Constitution that speaks to the process to for the term limits to be amended. Is gazetted. When it is gazetted, then public comments, 90 days, public comments, then kana usinge zvadaro rodzokera muparliament roenda through portfolio committees, that stage then rabva ipapo rakudhibhetwa futi zvakare muparliament, and in parliament rofanira kana vanhu vakuzovhota, it must get 2/3. Roenda futi kusenate ronowana 2/3, razobva kusenate rakuenda kupi kumhomhoni yevanhu. Vanhu ndovanozoita pareferendum, yes or no. Those are the only 2 questions. Term limits be abolished, or should the term limits be extended, yes or no? Those are the only 2 questions. If it is yes, then that one now it means kuti izvo term limits, an amendment term limits inenge yaitwa. And then what then needs to happen now again for it to benefit Emmerson Mnangagwa, because as it stands, if this is followed as it stands, if a term limit is abolished, or if they do decide to say we are now extending the term limits to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, 10, and then what it means according to the Constitution as it stands right now, Mnangagwa should not be benefiting from that, but they can amend that as well by following the amendments, the process of amending the Constitution. Yekuti vanoenda a bill rinodhaftwa against that part of the Constitution inotaura kuti the incumbent must not be benefiting from the amendment of the Constitution. Follow through those process, get a 2/3 majority, go to the referendum, yes or no. If it says yes, Emmerson Mnangagwa will be frames of making this a reality. Maybe this is why this is becoming so topical now, because of these 90 days of consultation, 3 months high, because we are almost in the 2nd year of his presidency. There's 3 more years. It means there will be ample time. Our parliament becomes seized with debating that issue. Emmerson Mnangagwa I want to just know I cheat another thing, another term. So if it is another term, could this will approve or this will opinion for another term. What it then means is Kutizo, but if we decide to hold an election 2028, then Mnangagwa will come in as the presidential candidate under ZANU-PF. And we go through that election cycle again. That is one way. And then Kutizo ango ti gauge 2030 is the one Kutizo. They can say Kutizo, we want to postpone the elections. We know Kutizo, our constitution says Kutizo, every 5 years we must do my elections. Is it easy to just go in and amend that part of the constitution that speaks about my elections with abolishing my elections? Then again, it is a matter for the legal, for the legal people, those that have got the minds and the brains, to be talking about issue, constitution. But I just thought Kutizo, I talk about this so that we get to a point of understanding if this thing happens in the way it is being proposed or in the way they want it to happen, if they follow the constitution, they do this, they do this, they do this, that argument of it being unconstitutional ceases to exist. But at the end of the day, we just want to look at what Emerson Mnangagwa is doing in his presidency that another president cannot come in and do. Why should he be getting this preferential treatment that they want to give him and accord him more years just because I want these animal projects and he needs to see those projects into fruition? Are you telling me, Gutizo, there's no one in ZANU-PF that can carry on his mandate, or on since Magatuza, Gutizo, you are not going to bring out a manifesto because you already have the NDS 1 and now we are moving into the NDS 2. That is the ZANU-PF manifesto. If it comes the election at 2028, if somebody comes in, are you telling me Gutizo is going to be going away or is going to be stopping from pursuing that 2030 manifesto agenda yakasetwa neZANU-PF by election at 2023? Because you told us you're not going to be giving us a manifesto because your manifesto is already there. But anyway, what am I standing with? Right. Tamsanga, say, can you come in, please?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, my brother Ndo. I couldn't hear some of your speakers, the last two, but I could hear you. So I hope it's all good. Now, I want to add a very different voice to the tone that was started. I think Zimbabwe as a country, we need to change our politics. I saw somebody using beautiful words like the contestation narrative must be changed. There's absolutely no need between elections. Once elections are over, there's absolutely no need to be sabotaging each other, to be at each other's throats, to introduce toxicity in politics, to be hating each other. When Ramaphosa is seen laughing with Julius Malema and Zuma and others, it's actually praised as mature politics. So I think as a country, we need to stop this idea that if you are belonging to a different political party or ideology or belief, then you are an enemy to the others. It's you present your manifesto or your whatever you have at elections, the people choose, whoever they choose will be in office for the duration between those elections. But this idea that if you see two people from different political parties having dinner together, then Paita Mtengesi or Mtengis, I think it's bad politics. We need to change that as a country. This is why some countries end up having genocides, because that's how it started in Rwanda. It was just that, oh, you are Hutu, you are Tutsi, you are this. in the end, people killed each other like in a bad way. I think we have to stop that kind of politics. So I'm disappointed that some of your speakers already have come up with a tone that suggests that people going to Kwekwe today, that somehow that was not a good thing. For me, I'm actually celebrating that, and I'll tell you why. I'm celebrating that because Zimbabwe has just changed the way that title for the 99-year lease that people have for the land is done. And that farm is one of those that already has title in line with the new policy. One of the roles of parliament is to actually see whether this land is being used for what it is said to be used for. Whether that scheme actually works, whether there's actually work there that's happening. So it is a beautiful thing that all the disappointed in the MPs that didn't go, because then they won't be able to make that contribution. The country needs leadership. And that leadership means that the parliamentarians that we elected must be going to these places like this farm and others to see how things are working. And then they come and legislate in parliament. If giving people title is not the right thing, if these farms are not being put to production, then those farms should be taken back. If the farm is being used, what is it that's happening on that farm that's working? Then it can be done in other places as well, so that the country can have food security. The farm, I think the country can have an economy that works. That is the role of parliament. And these parliamentarians were right to go in going there. It doesn't matter who owns the farm. The next thing is, I'll give you another example. I heard that one of the opposition leaders owns a logistic company that was working for Kushungo and others. If that company is working very well, the Ministry of Industry and Parliament should go there and see whether this is an example that can be replicated elsewhere. The same, I heard that one of the opposition leaders is the biggest pig farmer in the country. Parliament must go there, go to Mrewa and see this big, beautiful pig farm. What is it that is working there?
But it's not a pig farm, Mukamkoma. It's only a plot.
No, it doesn't matter.
Only doing it on a plot. It doesn't have a big farm.
No. All I'm saying is, even if you are a goat farm or you bought a goat farm, it doesn't matter. All I'm saying is, it is the role of parliament to be going to these places and see what works, what doesn't work, because they have to hold. Remember, the issues of land are part of the reason why we have this kind of politics of contestation, and we've got foreign interest in the country. Parliament must be going to places and see what works, what doesn't work, so that they can do their job and legislate properly in parliament. I would be disappointed if parliamentarians go to Shangani or Lake Chivero and start saying, why did you go there? They go to Lake Chivero because they have to see what's happening there. They come back to parliament, they debate, they legislate, they change things, they suggest how those things can be put into better use. That is the purpose of a visit like that. It doesn't be that farm alone. It can be other farms as well. If we talk about the politics and the contestation, I actually agree with the guys who were saying that what we discussed is not 2030, but about political reform and constitutional reforms that in the country to change how politics. Because at that time, they would not have been political parties who believed that the other is an enemy. And I have seen that over the years as I was growing and working, doing whatever work I was doing, that every time there are political parties, there's violence, there's hatred, there's toxicity, there's community divisions, there's sabotage from one end to the other. So I think Zimbabwe as a whole needs, if the constitution is going to be addressed, people need to be asking that very simple, what do we benefit from having these political divisions? Why is Rwanda that is technically a one-party, a country that has a one-party state system working? Why is China the only country that is able to take 2/3 of its population out of poverty in 20 years? Because, the Americans can do this politics. The British can do that politics because they already have roads. They already have houses. They already have schools. They can shout at each other in parliament. The impact and the consequences for society are different. When you fight in parliament in a country that still needs a borehole, a clinic, a school, food for people, and you stop the entire process from happening, it does not work. That's why China is able. Imagine if China was a democracy in the manner that the Americans are, they would not have been able to achieve what they've been able to achieve. Because they spend all that time squabbling and fighting and killing one another every time there are elections. Right. But China changes leadership quicker than the democracies in Europe. And that is the dilemma. So I think Zimbabwe needs to have a homegrown constitution that speaks to an electoral process that removes the element of toxicity between political parties and beliefs and players. You can continue to have as many political parties as you can, but remove the incentive to kill the next person just because they're a political rival.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Let's hear what others, will say. But yeah, it was quite an interesting, submission. Right.
Sorry, Ango Jet, to just correct the previous speaker. He said Singapore is a one-party state, which is correct. That is not correct. So I think we need to correct facts and people talk about facts, not to talk things which are not correct.
Yeah, I don't know the democracy in Singapore. I wouldn't know. Anyway, I don't know.
No, Singapore is technically a one-party state. Because Lee Kuan Yew was there, and then his son took over, and then now they are putting young. They don't have time to be squabbling amongst themselves. Every MP is working for the country.
It's not a one-party state.
Are you saying by the son taking over, it makes it a one-party state?
No. I'm simply saying ever since they had that independence and division from Malaysia, they have had one. Okay, so here's the thing. I said to you, Joe, you are talented. I need you. ZBC can also be better with you. ZBC is not a better institution without the likes of you.
It's not a one-party state.
What's that?
It's not. There's nothing to build over it. Yes. It's not.
What's that?
Singapore is not a one-party state.
You can't build the fantasy over what the government is. So you want us to mimic a one-party state?
No. I'm not saying that.
But it's not.
No, Siswami, we must
a simulated one-party state.
We as Zimbabwe, Singaporeans have done something that works for them.
They didn't.
What do you mean?
Singaporeans didn't do that.
Singapore have a
wanted
system
to,
that
they would
works.
have just
The
constitutionally
Chinese have a
made
system
one
that
party
works
state.
for them. The
It
Americans have
doesn't.
a
It's a
system that
forced
works
one
for
on
them.
them. No,
No,
it's
no, no.
not.
Okay. Let's leave it. Let's leave it. Let's leave
No,
it.
that's
All
not
I'm saying,
just tell the truth.
no, the truth is Zimbabwe
You
has
can't
an
fight
constitutional order that has not worked. Saying, Uncle Chet, is we as Zimbabweans, we got this Lancaster House-based system, multi-party democracy system, that has resulted in many deaths over the years. That has resulted in community divisions. That has resulted in Kukura wound and other things. We as Zimbabweans, we need to get to a point where we say, can we decide what constitutional order, political system, electoral system? Nah, I was involved in that project. It wasn't addressing that question.
But what you've said is not a fact. Lancaster House didn't establish multi-parties. We had multi-parties pre-Lancaster House.
Right. Okay. I have just googled. I've just googled. Yeah, Singapore in its parliament has got two opposition. There are two opposition parties in the 14th parliament of Singapore as of 2020. The dominance of the PAP are often to the extent that there's no effective opposition, has led to Singapore being described as a one-party state, which is more or less like what is being tried in Zimbabwe, to not have an effective opposition. That way you can then Tanzania is the country as a one-party state. But anyway, let us not be.
Why didn't he mention Swaziland? Why didn't he want what's happening? Swaziland.
Let us not be bogged down, to that.
Yeah, I mean, people always fantasize over other countries and don't want to adopt their values, their principles, their systems. They just want what the outcomes of those countries are. If you don't like political parties, make an example of Swaziland. Has it become a China? Has it become a Singapore?
Right.
Huh? And what you were doing, you were emotionally blackmailing Zimbabweans. You came on saying the toxicity of what they're saying. Yet what you did use as examples was extremes and threats. You were making examples of genocides as if they were caused by these things. No, they were not.
They were
caused by ZANU.
No. They were. So there's no ZANU in Rwanda.
Did not cause
there's
genocide.
No Zwana. There's Agula ZANU e Rwanda.
No,
Agula ZANU e Burundi.
No,
Agula ZANU e Cambodia.
Went and trained a 5th brigade
No, but I am saying
that
it's because party led
a tribal war in Zimbabwe.
We've always had tribal wars in Zimbabwe, man.
No, those are not true.
Which
you
one?
Make them up as extreme positions to make Zimbabweans feel like they are responsible. They are not.
No. No, Tina Amasutu, we have always been attacked by
Zimbabwean people have no issue of democracy.
Now
you are pandering to ZANU-PF.
No, that's not true.
And you are doing this passive-aggressive language and making it look like if we persist in loving democracy, well, then this is going to be a consequence. That is exactly what you're saying.
Why don't you let Abantu decide?
No.
Why don't you let Abantu decide? You can.
No.
Democracy means you have a voice.
Decide. They have formed political parties to the tune of 20. Not be ignorant to that and create an idealized position. Read the reality. The reality of the people of Zimbabwe is that they do absolutely love. They've never killed each other in other political parties. You've never heard our cities
no,
being
that's
killed
not
by
true.
MPs.
That is
No,
not true.
Tamsanga.
No.
You cannot
No,
keep us in fear of ZANU-PF
no,
by
that's not true.
presenting that if ZANU-PF is challenged, we should be No, there are countries with
Abantu
democracies
babulalana
and no
ku-MTC.
genocide.
No. Abantu
Listen,
babulalana ku-MTC.
there are no genocides in South Africa. There's multi-party. There are no
How many
genocides
people are killed in South Africa?
Zambia.
How
There
many
are
people are killed in South
multi-parties.
Africa during
There are
elections?
no genocides in a lot of
No.
other
Let's not talk about
countries.
genocide.
There
How
are no
many people are
civil
killed
wars
during
in
elections in
African
South Africa?
countries. No, Tamsang, you made your
But
point.
No, even in
that a
Nigeria,
reality?
That
every
is what
country where there are
you
elections, how
said.
many people are
People
killed
There are
during
more
elections in
countries
Kenya?
in Africa that have multi-parties and no genocides, no civil wars, none of the things that you are talking about.
What's
What
happening
you
in
are
Kenya,
doing,
guys?
you are a defeated
What
Zimbabwean.
happened there, Uganda?
You are a
What
defeated
happened in Cote
Zimbabwean,
d'Ivoire? What happened
and
in
your
Sierra
fear
Leone?
of
What happened in
ZANU-PF.
Liberia?
No.
Mercy,
That's why I said
70%.
there are
No.
fewer. You cannot
70%
take
of the countries in
anomalies.
Africa have had
Why
civil
didn't you
wars
make an
because of
example of?
party.
That's why I said, why did you not make an example of Swaziland? You went to create extremes, and then for the
I can make it.
advantages.
No, I have no problem with
So
taking
now I'm
Swaziland.
giving you the
So how many?
opportunity.
Tamsanga is being a
Let's take
distraction.
Swaziland.
Yeah,
No,
I
that's
was
your suggestion.
yeah.
Okay, let's compare it to
No,
the countries that you say are
wait.
multi-party democracies.
You
How
were
many
swinging
people
your
died
weight
during elections
here.
in Swaziland compared
Tamsanga,
That
to
you
Sierra
said
Leone
you are trying to
or
derail the
Liberia?
conversation.
Right. Okay, guys. Right. For the sake of progress, the guy didn't move on. Maybe that one it actually needs a space of its own. Maybe I can invite my brother Tamsanga here for a space where he can be a special guest and put across, his views, and then we can get people to actually debate, that. I think it's a topical issue, and it's an issue that we can have a space on. So I think Mkoma will try and do that, some other time. But anyway, we want to focus, on the topic, and not criticism. We weren't focusing, on the topic because some of the things, that you spoke about as a result of your take, on the topic, and then the people did not agree with you, and this is hence why we're having this. But I think we have sort of focused on that for too much time, and let us move on because we've got so many people that want to make contributions. Right. So let us move on. Mkoma Lenzo, did you say?
Uncle Jez, how are you?
I am good.
Thank you. I'm just testing my device. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Absolutely. You are loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, host. Thank you, co-host. Thank you, listeners and other speakers. Hey, this Tamsang is something else. In China, vanodambura maoko, vakaona vanhu vachita corruption. In Zimbabwe, vanodambura here. Vanongorega, vanochivhaya vachiita zvavanoda. So I think my brother must just stop comparing Zimbabwe, Singapore, and China. Havane democracy, havane zvavo zvema one-party state. Anyway, let me just cut the story short here. This Precade farm, I think it was a house to propagate the Mnangagwa 2030 or 2033 narrative. Otherwise, I didn't detect any kind of parliamentary business on that issue. Where have you seen a tour on a farm where people put on some suits? That was something else, not to talk about farming business or learning how to grow maize or tobacco, whatever. And I would like to know whether General Chiwenga was in attendance. I just need to know also such kind of questions. So you can see that whenever people are gathered, if I invite
General Chiwenga was jet lagged. He was coming from India, so he didn't
come. Okay. Yeah, so we used to experience this as a soccer referee. I attended one of the matches to officiate one commando. Yeah. So we arrived so early. They used to tell us that, guys, if you're arriving here, make sure you give us the right time you are coming so that we prepare something for you, right? We go there, we are hosted by one commando. We go to the canteen, top you my drinks, we gave nice food, meat, chicken, whatever, yeah, right? Before the start of the match, maybe 2 hours later. And what do you expect the visitors or the host team? How do they expect us to perform on the field of play? So this is what Mnangagwa is trying to do, is trying to arm twist the parliamentarians, right, to tow along the lines. Yake kuda kuita bid the 2030 thing. It's so disheartening that our neighbors, South Africa, they're trying to reduce unemployment to the youth to 27% by 2030. Then in our country, we've got this man, Emmerson Mnangagwa, trying to push the 2030 bid in the Chipo through hosting parliamentarians at his Precade farm in Kwekwe. So there was no kind of parliamentary business in that tour. Guys, look, this is what we are planning. Please, can you support us in this bid? So to those members of opposition who have attended, I know they will just go away with something. They're not just going to go home empty-handed. I understand they got maybe some braai and so forth. They cannot make some braai to parliament in new building. So guys work farm in the comfort of their farm. So it's like buying. It's just as good as vote buying. And the constitution, like what you're saying, Uncle Jed, it can be changed by these people. We've seen a lot of manipulation of the constitution by Emmerson Mnangagwa. We've seen a lot of things happening within this constitution in Zimbabwe. So it's not something new, of course, but their agenda is just to make sure that he puts maybe his son is going to impose his son to be the president of Zimbabwe. So this man is trying to protect his loot and so forth. So there's no need to talk about development whereby we are all seized with this 2030 cheapo. What kind of development does Mnangagwa want to do, which he failed to do when he took over in 2017 through the coup when he outsmashed Robert Mugabe? So it wasn't a parliamentary business at all. And I also want to ask you, what is the reason of putting a carpet on a farm where people have come to do whatever, like farming tour? You put a red carpet on that one. So there's no business of parliament there. There is no business of parliament. ED is just trying to manipulate and trying to arm twist the parliamentarians. He's running out of time. There's no even time for him to prepare the 2030 Ndringi Chipo. So he's trying by all means to arm twist my parliamentarians. Yeah, you can see they call themselves the judiciary. They are the judiciary. They are the police. They are the army. They are everything. So we can see that all those funds which are being used what can I say, to fund these projects to Precade farm. Those are government funds. That money is not coming from Emmerson Mnangagwa's pockets. Those are government funds. So we can't be cheated by such kind of political grandstanding. So this script was already written, even the way we saw Tshabangu with this Mudenda. We know the script is already written. So it's just a rubber stamping by going through the Precade farm and doing all those bad optics, supporting the 2030 bid. So I see that the party has lost its moral compass. It's so disheartening that at this stage, at this moment, we don't have a strong opposition voice to say, no, this can't be going on and on like what we are seeing right now. So Zimbabweans, we need to rise against all this nonsense, this 2030 denying in the cheaper bid. We should make sure that we have to stop it as Zimbabweans, not to wait for this opposition or whatever. I don't think even in the ZANU-PF party, they are interested in what Mnangagwa is trying to do. We know that Mnangagwa wants to try to get through hook and crook through the 2013 negative Chipo narrative. Thank you, Uncle James.
Right, guys. I'm so
proud to represent the opposition. His Excellency in the morning, he said the role of opposition is to criticize constructively the ruling party so that the ruling party can stay in power. The opposition can remain in opposition. We are here as a family to contest the status quo because we are Zimbabweans. We are here, Your Excellency, if we remove your stay in power and the people of Zimbabwe are happy, let it be.
That was Tshabangu and the round of applause, you know, they say.
Uncle, can you clarify?
You know, I don't know what is going to say.
Answer people of Zimbabwe.
If you can help me on this one.
Okay.
Before I appeal the round of applause. And because I found Your Excellency said we must criticize constructively so that ZANU-PF, you know, remains in power and us, you know, remains, you know, exactly.
Oh, is a clown. That girl is a clown.
Hansi, if the people of Zimbabwe are happy to extend your term,
that, what
so
is
let
it saying? Mirai, before that, I'm not getting that.
Right.
I'm going to play it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so proud to represent the opposition. His Excellency in the morning, he said the role of opposition is to criticize constructively the ruling party so that the ruling party can stay in power. The opposition can remain in opposition. We are here as a family to contest the status quo because we are Zimbabweans. We are here, Your Excellency, if we remove your stay in power and the people of Zimbabwe are happy, let it be.
We are here if we are. What is he saying?
Hansi, we are here if we lose. I mean, it wasn't quite clear.
It wasn't quite clear, yeah.
And we are here to support the narrative. And we are here
to maintain the status quo. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Exactly, to maintain the status quo. We are here. ZANU-PF must continue with its status quo, which is that status quo, to continue ruling as they will continue being the opposition. That's what Tshabangu is saying.
Yeah,
this guy is full of nonsense. He's enjoying now.
But anyway,
plus when he gets all the ululations and clapping of hands in the background, that's how that nonsense.
Because I needed to find out but I mean I don't want to change
all right, okay.
Yeah,
I think Tinashe, we're coming next.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you, Mkoma Titus. Tangobva kuchurch ndobva taona space iripo, ndobva taona social media yakazara nevanhu vari kuprecab. You know, it is such a sad state of affairs, because if we just go through Zama player right now, Tshabangu does not represent the opposition, because who voted for Tshabangu? No one voted for Tshabangu. Tshabangu came and did a very undemocratic thing. The recalls were a very painful thing that happened, and unconstitutional, undemocratic. So Tshabangu does not represent the opposition. Who does Tshabangu represent? Tshabangu represents ED and ZANU-PF. We know, because all the actions that he has taken, Tshabangu, has been to benefit ED, to benefit ZANU-PF. But going back to Precab, what was the budget of this Precab farm visit, and who carried the cost? Because why should parliamentarians travel from Harare to Kwekwe and place a burden on the taxpayer when there is a parliament? Parliament nyuwani yakaitwa, and then people have to travel from Harare to Kwekwe to eat this farm, poetry's carpet. What tenders were done for the services that were rendered at this Precab farm visit? Because sometimes this is where we remain blind. We don't see how the state is looted. If we were to ask and to say, we demand for the matter of public interest, we want to know the budget, we want to know the money that was used for this Precab farm visit and this Precab farm, what they are claiming parliamentarian business, which was not parliamentarian business. Because what is the purpose of parliament? What is the purpose of the opposition? When we ask those questions, we see that this Precab farm visit is just the veil being torn. It was apparent. When I talk of a veil, it was apparent. It was like there was a wide veil. But a little bit of a veil. So, but yes, they don't even care. They are not even trying to deceive. The veil has been torn, and we can see clearly that those who claim to be the opposition are not opposition at all. Because what is the purpose of the opposition? And how can those, like it was if the people are happy for you to remain, how can an opposition person, the opposition should be a government in waiting. That is what the opposition is. The opposition is a government in waiting. The opposition is a check and a balance. Pane party in power, the opposition, they have a duty. They have a public duty in the matter of public interest to bring checks and balances and say this party that is ruling has failed, and we are the government in waiting. We are the ones who have a better plan. How can you claim to have a better plan when you are going to eat with the same? It boggles the mind. Like, I know and with all due respect, guys, yes, you can bring a narrative, but never bring a narrative on falsehoods. We abhor falsehoods. Let's be honest, let's be truthful when we talk about this thing. And we ask, what is the constitutional role of the parliamentarians? What is the public interest concerning events that are taking place in the country right now? If we were to ask people, if we were to ask the people whom these proclaimed opposition leaders claim to represent, if we were to ask those people to say, are they happy with the opposition going to Precab farm? You can see public sentiments that the public, and I will speak as part of the public, we are very unhappy. We are very, very, very unhappy with this. We knew there was a veil. We knew we knew, like I said, there was a thin veil. We could see through the veil. But right now, the veil has been torn. And those who claim to be members of the opposition surely cannot continue claiming to be. We know that ZANU-PF from day one has always wanted the one-party state. We know that that is what they have wanted and they have tried. You know, the MDC, when it was formed, came against that whole thing of us being a one-party republic. And we know that ZANU-PF, ever since MDC was formed, tried to infiltrate. And we know the history. Gumiri Papo, from everything that happened. So even when we look at the pictures, and you know what? Pane a statement nombotaura ichiti kana uchida kuziva muridzi wechidhoma, ukarova chidhoma unoona muridzi wacho achipopota. Kana uda kuziva muridzi wechidhoma, rova chidhoma uone muridzi wacho. Chidhoma chatoona kuti muridzi wechidhoma ndiani. This is not the first time, but yes, no zvakunatsooneka manje, because muridzi wechidhoma manje abva atoisa chidhoma pamberi ndobva achiparedha kuti honai chidhoma changu ichi, I'm totally in control. What Mnangagwa is basically doing, he is a chess player. He is now laying his strategy. Haachina basa, ari kufunga kuti iye asvika pa checkmate. So he's now laying his strategy bare in the open, and he's saying, if we're on chess, time where Mnangagwa is going check. But one thing I know is that he's not seeing that there are things that are happening. And if a statement, this can actually be a security risk. This can actually prove very problematic, because remember, it's not only the public which is unhappy with this. There are people in ZANU-PF who are unhappy with this whole arrangement. But anyway, we won't focus on that. But anyway, thank you, Uncle. I won't spend too much time. Let me return the mic back to you.
No, thanks, Nasha. Thank you, Ango. I think hopefully my listener got what he's saying.
I don't know. Mira. Well, Nick Mangwana posted something. I posted, this is what he said. So according to what Nick Mangwana posted, and this only, if our presence here improves your stay in power, and that makes the people of Zimbabwe happy, then let it be.
Hey, Saga argu endorsa Mnangagwa ka.
That is how it is.
A clear endorsement.
Abazondizo he has actually endorsed the 2030 agenda.
I don't fun.
Nai vakomana murisei naye mukwasha murisei brother Titus nevamwe.
Sorry, champion. I'm sure I'm the one who's supposed to speak now.
No, you are not. It's actually Mercy coming next, then champion.
Ningipanana Ningankovana even spoken.
Oh, Kovana
has been here for a minute.
Okay.
So, honorable, you can't just come in and jump to grab the mic.
I know. I expect your decision. Let me hold.
Yeah,
okay. So
go ahead.
Kovana, I think Kovana we have first uncle. Sorry, I don't remember.
Yeah, because he has been here for a minute.
All right, so Kovani, Mercy, then champion in that order, please.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, I wanted to speak about something that to answer a question that the previous speaker just asked, that Tinashe asked. It is what was on my mind. Why Precade farm? Why not the Parliament of Zimbabwe? It's very clear to me now that I started thinking about it, that the farm is not a government place. It's a private house. It's Mnangagwa's private place, right? So it is a weekend, it's not a day for working, right? So according to Mnangagwa, this is how he's thinking. I'm trying to give you his mindset, his understanding why he's doing it this way. He is in his house on a weekend, he is off. So he can pretty much invite any of his friends to his house, right? His uncles, friends, whoever they are. It's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You can invite 2 on a Sunday in this house. It's okay, right? You can invite 10, 100, 210. It is his private property. So it is his private business. It's not a public business, not even a public property. So if he invites 210 people whom he knows, who are his friends, and they could be from anywhere. In this case, it so happens that those 210 friends of his work also in parliament. But in a private space, he can invite them, right? And it so happens that social media knows about it. That on a weekend in his house, he invited 210 of his friends. Now, what are the implications for that? What are the legal implications? These are the implications. Well, he is not accountable for anything that is said or done in his private house. Is he having a private meeting with his private friends? He's not at a public place doing a public a public gathering. So there's not going to be minutes there, okay, written, because they're just having fun, buying some meat with these 210 friends who just so happen by chance to be parliamentarians as well. So whatever discussed there is not subject to any legal problems. So that is how I view Mnangagwa's mindset right now. Because you would have said, why didn't they use parliament? If they use parliament, then it becomes a public gathering, which has to be in the Hansard, which is sponsored by government, and therefore it has got legal ramifications. But this one is just private. So that is his way. That is Mnangagwa's way of thinking, of saying, okay, I can just invite my friends at my house. We can discuss whatever it is that we want. You people on social media, you can go ahead too and discuss if you want to, but I preserve the right of inviting my friends to my farm. So I do not think that it is sponsored by the government. I don't think that the person who is paying is the government. I think it is himself or his private investors who just would sponsor that. So I think that's why he's doing that, so that they can discuss pretty much anything and do anything. They can even discuss your future. But it is not a government duty that they're doing there. It's not even in the government calendar. It's just his private space. So I'm sure he chose his farm for that purposes, so that he can be safe from public scrutiny. I think that's the reason why he chose the farm. That's all I have to say.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, for that. Yeah, I was listening again to another video. Ngaisha this one na Owen Mudanyiwa managa. Yeah. I go this way. If I was the cameraman, right there, they go focus now on the opposition MPs. That's one how could the first hours as Mira says, when these guys were actually saying, could you the resolution number 1? The resolution number I want to resolution number 1 yeah. Makwikwi. Yeah.
Zimbabwe.
I told you
From there in the ZANU-PF, Uncle Jay.
Anyway, Uncle Jay, Chimboseka,
Aiwa kana nai shamwari ingatadzapa line number 1. Masi, I think you were coming next.
Titus. Nini nasa was boycotting you. Kakachun kaya I canona kids. I gave up. I gave up. I said my Zimbabweans, Atisipo, but that Mofu was captured brilliantly. I think if that guy just followed Mofu in all platforms and every day just does one, Mofu has the voice. But anyway, you know what? Oppression inorwadza. And I think inomesa up nefungwa brain chayo. Because Inina was triggered by Tamsanga's submission. It was going well. I can respect opinion, and unity is a very good thing. But it was what he was now attaching it with, which I felt was so wrong, so victim blaming, on sanitizing ZANU-PF as if they were made to do what they did. I couldn't understand that. In Zimbabwe, we've never had opposition political parties killing each other. Right now, we've got a desecrated opposition doing shenanigans we've never seen done. Not a single one of them has killed anybody. So that we speak, that we have divergent views, that we can form many different political parties cannot be likened to it causes the things that he was saying. It sort of reminded me of, I think it was Citizen who said, ZANU-PF did all the things it did to us so that in the future, it will always shake them in our face as a scare tactic, the matchbox theory. He did that so brilliantly. He placed these things we should fear as the reasons we should now adopt systems that are problematic in the jurisdictions that they are in, that they are being enforced, does not in themselves mean that they can be replicated everywhere else and create the same results. The journeys those people have taken to get there, is he wishing them on us as well? China didn't get there just by saying, oh, well, we choose this one party state, boom, bash, and then they started building their country. So does he want us to go through that journey as well? Because we don't inherit it. It's enforced. And then to always go into the historical context of making us look like Africans by nature cannot be democratic. That is, and the people who've said it, they've just been left and never challenged. Africa has done democracy for centuries. Democracy is not the cause of genocide. Democracy is not the cause for poor development, bad fiscus, weird economics. But people make these assertions because they've got 2 or 3 examples of who we will end up with. The more democratic parties around the world with good economies. In Africa, we've got, like I said, you don't want politics anymore. You just want a kingdom. There's Swaziland there. Make an example out of it and inherit everything it has got. Well, China. But this cap, Mnangagwa brought them to his farm because systems, sharing ideas, actual farmers, they are known. The Reserve Bank deals with them. GMB deals with them. They've got a list of who the captains are. They could have put out an invite in all provinces to send out the best in whatever they are doing that is compatible with what the farm was going to teach. From all sectors, from the farmers to the ones who the refineries, the end shops, that would deal with this, because now he would be showing that now they are really getting into the business, the agro. You can bring in all the guys who deal with the mechanics. You could bring the scientists, climate, geo, whatever, and bring them to the farm. And now then we can believe that, yeah, this farm has been producing, it has got systems, and that he wants to now put out. This was just for him to do a spectacle for you Zimbabweans, because you have no consequences. You cannot control them. And now he's actually showing you have lost control of your opposition. They have commandeered that as well. It was a public spectacle for them to actually speak, because they know in Parliament you don't read the Hansard, you don't follow anything. They brought them to an arena where, in your face, knowing consequentially there is absolutely nothing you will do. We'll talk about it. We'll sound like we are very upset, but they will continue. And now they will ignite from you to see the benefit of what they're doing. The Tshabangus are the spokesperson speaking to you directly. This is the direction that we have taken. And if we continue to do that, you will lose the option of either voting them in or voting them out. They are now maintaining that status quo. They can come in whichever way that they choose to come in. We lost control. We can now not sing that song, Disu Takavayisa and Disu Tichavisa. Most of them achieved that by shuffling, by doing anything. They managed to stay with Emma's loopholes. We have lost our voice. They're no longer your representatives. When they were saying, ZANU-PF is here, you know which voice they represent. They're no longer your representatives. They are the change champions for ZANU-PF, to change you, not the other one. So have reached the maturity of oppressed people. ZANU-PF is testing it to see what their 44-year plan has finally managed. It has managed to and yeah, 10 years from now, we will think we prevented genocides. That other political parties and done a genocide is ZANU-PF. One political party. It's sad, but Andizibe, you didn't put Tshabangu. He told you how he got there. He's never lied. He's gone to court to declare his journey in to Parliament. And most of those people are through appointing each other. They are not your representatives. And now they are in the campaign. That's the only thing I agree with Thompson. That was a meeting of like-minded people. And they were now projecting to you where they are moving forward. It's up to us to decide what we want to do, but they've set the agenda of where they're going. Thanks, Nkotete.
Oh, thank you Mpasha. Waita zvako basa kutipa kuti tiite noise. Ndoda kutanga ndataura concept inonzi foot in the door technique, right? Yokuti unotanga kuintroduce chinhu chisina basa, vanhu vachitamba nacho, vachichita semaswits namazepi, pedzezvo chinhu chiya mangwana ouya manje wakuisa zvako inonzi billboard, wotaura kuti guys 2030 agenda, right? And this is like ingrained in our history to where we are. I know that at some point people were saying, no, MDC was about constitutionalism, this and that. He had that 2030 agenda from that day in 2017. That's when he had this idea all along, right? So he had just to use zvaanoda kuita. And isusu vamwe vanhu tichitoomberera maoko zvaita kuti unoziva aiwa inyaya yeconstitution inyaya yechakati. Hazvinei neconstitution izvi, right? Munhu ari kuda kungokudza inini vision yangu ndeyekukubirai, ndakubirai ndichaisa vana vangu vagoprotecta inini. I know that right now, to those who are busy rakasharing, they think they are safe and they will be better, right? You won't be better. Because right now, hausati warobwa hausati warobwa katsvimbo kaya kanorova dumbu renhanikire redapi. Saka poucharobwa netsvimbo yaya inonzi chichinzwa kamwe or something, setsvimbo yedapi, setsvimbo yarova dapi, ndipo uchatanga kufunga manje kuti vaya vaikriticize vanga vasina kushata. At this point, I'm not saying don't criticize or don't fail to criticize. Here is the thing. And kana basa ratiudza kuti ndo vachidya rifa, iwewe kana Mnangagwa anotongokuona sechikorobho. Saka iwe chakorobheswa. Ende chikorobho chikuru, number 1 yechikorobho chikuru muRakashi, right? Unomisira Greece Bijanaka kuti anyatse kubvisa tsvina yacho nesimba. And I know kuti muRakashi paanoudzwa izvozvo unotanga kufunga kuti no, idzi dziri kutondirima idzi, aiwa handikurimi. Saka resolution number 1 yakagara iripo kubva kare. Kune vanogona kufunga kuti no, yatanga nhasi this and that. No, haina kutanga nhasi. Pakaitwa ma-recalls 2020, it was just paya yanga ichitongova nyaya foot in the door technique, right? Regai titange kuita experience manje kuti patichapinza handitika ise chitodzidza kutora patiri kumberi teisingatoriri pano. Iri pano haina basa because tatopedza nayo. Nhasi ndo patasvika panapa. Saka zvatasvika panapa, it depends on who is organized enough. If the citizens are organized enough so that they can mount resistance, then it becomes useful. If we continue on this trajectory as disorganized, nevamwe vanenge vaida kutopemberera nganga inobata mai, kana kuti bhinya rinonyatsokubhinya baba vamai vako wakatarisa uchitoti aiwa bhinyai zvenyu, aiwa achabhinywa zvinorwadza ndiwe wanga uchifunga kuti ndiye wangu. Because mberi kwatiri kuinda uko hakusi kuzoomera ini chete, kuchaomera iwe neni. But chichazonakidza nechokuti iwewe wacho tinoita kunyatsokuseka more than kuseka kwandozviita, because inini ndatinduvara chakabaya chikatyokera. right? Saka, this is the time. If you were a full-time Rakash, if you care about Zimbabwe, this is the time for you to show real care, not fake care. Because the fake care is not going to solve anything. Vazhinji venyu munofunga kuti aiwa muchapinzwa pazvinzvimbo mojoinawo mondoba. Guys, kuna vakatomirira kana kuti havazvizivi. Vakangwara kudarika iwe. Pamwe pacho vakatongwara futi kutodarika inini wacho. So this farm visit, I think I've said about it yesterday, kuti Precade is not an institution, right? This is not an agricultural institution, agricultural research institution yokuti you not no, tirikinda kutonodzidza kurima. Saka kama mchindodzidzira kurima, pane badza ramambobata here, right? Kana chimwango chaicho chamabata hapana. Saka kana musina kubata chimwango muchitaurirana kuti alright, unoona mbesa idzi tinodzikavira so, tigodzikavira so. Musati zvanzi kwai maenda kufamu kundodzidziswa kurima, hakuna zvokurima mandodzidza kana one. Kana vanopesvedzera nokupemberera kuti aiwa zvakanaka, bva hanzi miromo yavakura iri pasi. Ende nhasi ndiri kutobheja kuti aiwa kana wangu wawo munhu mukuru hauwiri pasi. Chimboitai zvamuri kuita varume kana vachiri kurakasha, vari kufarira kurakasha. The tragedy is ours. We have to carry it nicely. Iwe neni, but chichakurwadza ndechokuti uchakera zvawanga usingafungi kuti one day you will carry. That's what I'm saying. But zvokupirikable farm is ichingotoziva hedu kuti hapana iripo. And I think there was a day randakambotaurira vamwe ndikati vedwe kumberi uko kuchatestwa kuti vanomirira vanhu ndevapi. Saka that day rasvika, musazoti zvanzi kwai aiwa idzi dzakambotaura taingofunga kuti dzakataura. Aiwa, handisi muprofita bodo. Tiringotaura kuti aiwa hatisati tapedza futi, right? For your own information, tiri kuenda game 2. Game 2 ichadzingirana nevasara, right? Kana vasara vachiziva kuti vasara vakangwara, vachiziva kuti havako, this is your time to separate yourself from nonsense. Because otherwise game 2 haubudimo, right? And this message ndeyekutaurira vasara vaya vanga vachitakavanda, isusu takamirira vanhu, tichamboprotecta democratic space. Guys, be serious. Pamakatadza kubuda, nguva yamakatadza kubuda, makatozvikonewa. Iye zvinezvi yenyu munogona kungoita matanda nyadzi, but kwatiri kuenda kumberi uko ameno zvenyu. Ndongotaura zvangu kuti aiwa zvaitwa nemukwasha tazviona, kana kuti zvaitwa kuprecable farm tazviona. Zvakuda kuti iwe neni tive organized, tidefend our own country and our own rights as per constitution. Kwete zvokuudzwa constitution dzisiri dzemumhepo idzi. Constitution chaito iziva kuti any amendment to the constitution is not supposed to benefit the incumbent. Saka chimboita henyu vari kuita, vari kurovera mavoko, bhinya richibhinya mai vako richinakirwa, mai vachichemereranai moga. Ini ndongoripo zvangu kungoona kuti tava kumberi uko, kana zvinhu zvazonaka tozokubvunzai kuti ko maimboiteiko. Because ini ndotogara ndichitonamatira chinhu chimwe, Mwari ndipevo nguva. Timboti kana nguva yasvika iyoyo tombozobvunza varakashi vakanga vachizviti varakashi, haujoini ZANU-PF paTwitter. That's one of the things that you have to know. Kana uchida kujoina ZANU-PF unondojoina kusero. Saka vese vazhinji vari kuda kutinetsanisa vachiita soti ndeve ZANU-PF, havasi. Vamwe vacho vanenge vachida kutoti bai tojoina pano paTwitter. Hamujoini ZANU-PF paTwitter vakomana, musazvinetsa. Vanoijoina chaichai vanoziva pavanojoina. Saka chimbondofungai kaviri. I am not saying musanhanikira, musa defender. You can defend whatever you want, right? It's your right to defend, whether to defend Satan, whether to defend another young Satan, it's up to you. inini angu ndangotaura kuti isusu zvaitwa nechi zvaitwa nomukwasha tazviona. Thank you so much mukwasha wangu. Handisi kureva iwewe. Inongori tsumo zvayo inongodarika.
Thank you, Champion John. Thank you for that, my brother. I think we're going to Brighton next. Brighton.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I think Ango Gerard. Are you Ango Gerard or Gerard? Everyone is saying Ango Gerard, son, or what not, and what, but I'm sure you've got your guys on this space. Who are helping you to
Kana
develop.
usingandiziye kana honorable kana musingandiziye kuningikwa zvakabva ikoko aiwa it's not a problem unongona kunditi Gerard
No,
it's not a problem.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Gerard. Can you please try to tell Leonard to switch off to turn off the mic? It's so disturbing. I'm sure I'm going to tell it to Ngongoti as we go background. Sorry. Right. My submission is we are not here to defend, but we are here to discuss, to see what is best for our country. As people, we are all Zimbabwean people. So what do I mean by that? We need a constructive criticism, whereby we say we don't just criticize for the sake of criticize. Let me put through my submission. The visit for Precade is not a parliamentary business per se, but it's something that is already started with the President Dr. Mnangagwa, so that he put together people for the sake of unity and peace. There's no development that can take place if there is no unity. You need to be united as one, so that we develop our country. Going to Precade as member of parliament, we are playing a role for what you call it, representation. We are tikumirira vanhu vemunhara kunzvimbo dzatiri kubva kwakasiyana siyana. Paprecade pari kuitwa zvakasiyana siyana. Pari kuitwa fish farming. Kune maareas anobvuma fish farming. Kana uri MP akachenjera waenda ikoko, go unotora manoti kuti vari kuzvifambisa sei kuti fish dzidi dziere, then unoita kuti vanhu vabatsike kunzvimbo kwauri kubva. Kana uri kuchibvuma mombe kusaidi kwako, ita kuti vanhu vazive kuti mombe dzinochengetwa sei. Ndo zvinhu zvanyanya kuitirwa kunzi vanhu vauye kuPrecade. Let's not have a negative criticism always, whereby kuti since zvinhu zvatoitwa apa vanhu vaku president vakunodai so vanotaura nevanhu, hapana pari kumbonoitwa one on one kana kuti private meeting. Vanhu vari kunosanganiswa, vanhu vari muhwani vachitaura zvavachitaura, vachidzidziswa zvavachioneswa, zvavanenge vachioneswa, poitwa to ichatenderwa mufamu imomo kuti toita mapotatoes. Vane nzvimbo dzinoita potatoes. This is how potatoes marimi maanoitwa. Vanhu vofunda voita. Then tadzokera kunzvimbo dzedu kwatiri kumirira vanhu vedu. Takavhizita kufamu kwapresident. Why can't you come in small groups? Moita maprojects akadai anoita kuti upenyu hwevanhu huchinje. Chatiri kuda kuti upenyu hwevanhu huchinje. Handiti ndizvo? So mukatarisa imimi ine negative yeka kuti pane zvatorongwa kana pane zvazodai pane zvatoika. We are very wrong, guys. I don't want to lie. Let's be positive. This thing chaitwa na president inini ndachifarira zvisingaiti. Ndo time yekuti wanga wachionesana, aumana kuita sei vanhu tichionesana zvinhu zvinoita kuti nyika iende kumberi than kuti tingoti aiwa pane zviri kutoitika kubackground ye uyo face yake facial expression yake maiona zvazodai so as Uncle Jared was saying kuti opposition no guys to tell you the truth I asked somebody last time on this space as well kuti do we have an alternative yamuri kuti alternative yacho Chamisa himself he failed to come up with a proper structure. How can you say how can you have a part is not structure yekuti unoti wewe wende ndiye ari kuselect anudzi ari kuita zvokuselect macandidates uyu timba ari kuita zvokunze moenda pakuita ma2 candidates. That's your disorganization. Why can't whom do you blame on that one? Whom do you blame on that one? You need to put your house as opposition in order so that if you want to take power through the right means, put your house in order.
Opposition ukutaura Tshabangu here.
Yeah, wait. I'm the one who's speaking. Then totally sentiments akataurwa naye recently quote this one. Anzani wende ari kutaura kuti takafurirwa kunzi tisatore mapurazi wamwe wakatora mapurazi isusu tikanzi musatore mapurazi. He's regretting, but he's a member of parliament. He's regretting kuti hatina kutora mapurazi. Ndosaka achitaura musaite zvinhu zvekuti munonzwa nemumwe munhu ita ichi muchiita ichi. Munhu unofanira kuzvifungira wega kuti chandiri kuita chiri right here kana kuti chakamira sei, kwete kuti hazo tanzi isusu takanzi musatore mapurazi wamwe vanhu land tisi ivhu nderedu, ngatishandise ivhu redu, ngatitorei ivhu patiri kupiwa mukana wekutora ivhu tishandise tiutilize that land zvinoita kuti mhuri yeZimbabwe igute. That's my submission. Thank you very much.
Ndokumbira kumboita pushback nai mukwasha wangu namukoma Titus. Ava baba vari kutaura zveunity ava. Ungataura unity nomunhu wakauraya, nomunhu usina birth certificate. Makamurayira baba, mukamurayira mai, mukamurepera mai, ndo motaura kuti zvanzi kwai moda unity. Baba, unity yenyu ikai demambo ndotsvaga kumwe kana kunotsvaga chikwenzi chokuti muite unity nacho. You can't come to us and tell us this for your own information, honorable and unhonorable, because imi makacontesta. Yes, of course, mune rather right kuti muri aspiring honorable. Musa confuse abantu because imi monyazo
contested in a national election in 2018 and I got 468 votes. It's not an easy task, my friend. You have never done it yourself. Don't tell me nonsense. Don't try to threaten me or try to shut up on that note.
Right, on that note, I think we'll move forward. Let's avoid kutukana tongorwana mafacts chete mafacts aripo. But anyway, for the, like you said, for progress, I think we've got a few people that haven't spoken. Sapana, Brother Ndaba, you haven't spoken. Elon, Siki, Magneto, Clopas, you guys, you haven't spoken yet. Cactus, you haven't spoken, and we've got some other requests. So for the sake of progress, I think we'll move on. Anyone wants to rebut, you can just start on your submission. So Magneto, you were coming next. Magneto. All right. If Magneto is not there, to end up with Elon. Elon Musike, please take the mic.
Uncle Gerard and Titus, how are you?
Greetings.
Am I being okay? Guys, Chinuichi, I think we are way behind.
I was muted. I couldn't speak because I was muted by the host.
Okay.
Okay, let me just finish, then you come in. Is it fine?
All right.
Oh, okay. Guys, Chinuichi, I think vana vakachitanga kudhara just after my elections, vakatanga kurecalla my MPs edu, because you find kuti tsoro ika it's a long game. Just 2 weeks back vakabuditsa headline yaitaura iyo kuti my MPs should go to the president's farm. then ndobva patanga kurohwa vanadhonza musoro vachiti vanhu ngavaende zvichidhibhetwa vamwe vachiti ngavasaenda. Now vanhu vaenda, I think we are all in trouble. Vanhu vaenda kudaro, Tshabangu paachasvika paachadzokera back, whether wakaenda kana kuti hauna kuenda, they are going to be whipped into line. We know kuti Tshabangu has always been playing nema MPs there, achidimanda kuti va follow whatever strategy yake anenge achida. So we are going to have a situation whereby these guys want to play chinichi in parliament. That's why vadedza ma-parliamentarians ese. So whatever it is, pane chimwe chigame chavari kutaura chiri kunzi munhu mutapa, chakaiswa pa-national calendar. We don't know what it is. Maybe it's the end game yekuti ada kuzviita munhu mutapa. So maybe 2028 anenge akunzi munhu mutapa, nyika inenge yake, just like Muswati kingdom. And if you remember, vanhu vari kuti hapasina time yekuchinja constitution, there is a lot of time yekuti aite zvaanoda neconstitution. Remember in 2008 kuRussia, Putin term yake 2 terms dzake dzanga dzakwana. But what did he do? Akazvichinja from president akazviita prime minister. Aita prime minister ndobva apa toy boy kake, puppet kake Dimitri, ndobva amboita president achinyatsogadzirisa zvinhu. So these guys, they have a lot of ways dzavanokwanisa kuita kuti vatambe neconstitution yedu. Vakaramba vakachibata kuti vari in power, and the guys they need right now is parliament. That's why parliament yanzi ngaiuye kuchi kufarm. So with the situation currently in our opposition, we need to pull up. Nekuti chinhu ichi chiri kutotambwa, and right now ne red carpet yatowaridzwa zvinotora kuti bhora ratoita sei, bhora ratonzi riri kuenderera mberi. So whether he comes out and says I'm a constitutionalist, I don't want it, vacharamba vachingodaiwo kusvikira pasvika imwe stage yekuti achati okay, ndakuda kuita munhu mutapa, sezvo musiri term yangu yapera, aimudawo munhu mutapa, nyika yese yangu. Then yoita Swaziland, constitution yongochinjwa, potoiswa ma-provisions yekuti munhu uyu ndiani, ndimunhu mutapa, munhu mutapa ndiye anoona country. So anoramba akabata, then iye oita hand-picked president. After that aita hand-picked president, you will find kuti ma-powers are president, just like what Putin did paaka-appointa president. Ma-powers ese anenge ari vested neku-new office. Uyu anenge angori just a puppet. So even whoever comes in, anongoramba ari puppet. Ma-powers ese anoiswa ku-new office, or whatever they are going to do. But inenge itori constitutional crisis yekuti they can even say kuti vasvika kuparliament mangwana vototaura kuti we are now going to repeal that provision yekuti munhu, the incumbent, cannot benefit from an extension. Inongosvika vanhu votodebata yonzi yakubva, that provision yotobviswa altogether. So vanenge vatoskipa ma-processes ekuti tichaita referendum or what. So these guys are way ahead of us. We need to start thinking kuti tiite catch up and come up with my strategies ekuti zvinhu kwazvava kutoenda pakatoipa. Thanks Uncle, thanks Titus na Uncle. That's my submission.
Thank you, Elon Musiki. Thank you very much for that submission. Let's quickly move to Magneto.
Thanks, Titus. Anyway, just a quick one. I didn't want to speak, but then some speakers coming up on here, hey, the things they speak, they say, it's just shocking and ridiculous. Anyway, there was, I think, that guy who calls himself Honorable Brighton something. He was talking about people going to learn farming. Can you show me a single clip of all the videos we have seen where they are talking about farming? All the videos which have been thrown around from that visit to Precade, show us one single clip where people are being taught about farming. Instead, all the speeches there, they are about consolidation of power. So the reason why people are at Precade Farm today is to push the 2030 agenda, not about farming. Having more so, Mnangagwa is on leave. He's supposed to be resting. Why is he having parliamentarians and all this involving himself? Like, if what he's doing is to do is good, is government business, he's on leave. Why is he there? And why is not the acting president who is supposed to be in charge? Why I didn't see Kembo Mohad there? I don't know, maybe someone saw him. Chiwenga wasn't there. Him is supposed to be on leave. He's supposed to be resting. Why is he involving himself in that business? If it's got to do with government business, it's personal what Mnangagwa is doing. So let's not just come here and say things, oh, this, we have to think, or maybe support things, have blinkers to just support things for the sake of it. At the end of the day, you end up exposing yourself. Instead of people listening to you, maybe you're talking, say someone who's talking sense, you end up exposing yourself. Still on that, Mnangagwa is not a farmer. I remember there was an earlier speaker called Tamsang. I said people were supposed to go to Kushungo Dairy to learn farming. Grace was not a farmer in Mugabe. Mnangagwa is not a farmer. If you go to Precade Farm right now, you would see otherwise of all the workers there, none of them, not a single one, is being paid by Mnangagwa. They are civil servants being paid by government. Mnangagwa is just someone who is in a position of privilege, who is abusing power. Otherwise, people going to that farm, they are celebrating looting. People going to Mnangagwa's farm, they are celebrating abuse of power. He's not a farmer. A very good example, if you see Kushungo Dairies now, it's a ghost. Because when it was put in place, Grace and Mugabe were in a position of privilege, same position which is Mnangagwa is in today. But the moment they got out of power, if they were farmers, Kushungo Dairies should be thriving by now. But it went down because they were not farmers. They are not farmers, they are looters. And during Grace's time, shops were being forced to take produce from dairy, from Kushungo Dairy. If you are a farmer, you do proper business deals. You don't force shops to say take it or leave it. You don't take it whether you like it or not. Buyers from across Zimbabwe, they were being forced to take products. And they were even told how to merchandise those dairy, Kushungo Dairy, in their supermarkets. They were dictating. So you have to put our products in front. You have to put our products on top. Then the rest of the company's products, you put them at the back. That's not business. That's not farming. That's taking advantage, and that's abuse of power. So Mnangagwa is not a farmer. He's just someone who is using his power. Otherwise, if he goes out of power today, that will be the end of Precade Farm. It will go down with him. Then, lastly, before I land, Mnangagwa and Auxilia, they are just competing with Robert and Grace. Mugabe gave his wife a PhD, a dubious PhD. Mnangagwa gave his wife a dubious PhD. When Mugabe and Grace were pushing the Handiende agenda, when they wanted to do their power consolidation, Grace started traveling the length and breadth of Zimbabwe, doing rallies. ED and Auxilia, they are using the same script, but they are not doing rallies. They are inviting people to Precade Farm. They are just copying. In fact, they don't have a brain of their own. What Grace and Mugabe was doing is what ED and Auxilia are doing. It's the same script, different players. and different venues. But the idea is consolidation of power. Thank you. I learned.
Interesting submission, Magneto. Thank you very much for that. I think let's move on to the Cactus. You're coming next.
Thank you, Tafik, Ango Jared. Thanks so much. My brother Champion is here. I listened to your presentation. It's good. You know, I think as people, we should start taking responsibility of our own actions. We should start looking at ourselves first. There are certain things that we do and actions that we take and threats that we give people that leads to certain actions, that is to certain activities and actions in certain people. I'll start with the issue of sanctions. When Chamisa was going overseas to Sweden, saying Sunga 1, Sunga doesn't, and we, especially the people in the opposition, we actually hearing that. But at the end of the day, when sanctions take place, it's actually a hub of corruption. This corruption that is happening in the government, it's necessitated by these sanctions because most of the things, they are not run above board. People would actually do underhand deals and a lot of things happen, prices are inflated, and it affects people's livelihood. You come to this issue of this Precade visit. These people, to be very honest, in ZANU-PF, we have people who are against this 2030. That's the honest truth. But the truth of the matter is their places will be filled by the opposition because they are trying to protect their own territory. I agree with what Masi said here. They are trying to protect their own stance because it's been threatening them. They are getting out of office. They will never come into the office. So no matter the people who are in ZANU-PF who want to go against this issue of 2030, their place will just be filled by the people in the opposition. And that thing will be passed. Nothing will stop it. So at the end of the day, we threaten people, we tell people, don't do this or else we'll do this. But right now, no one is in charge here in the opposition. No one can actually, even if you voted for opposition, you don't even have say. They have the word, they have the say right now. And their only say is to tell the president to stay on because they also want to protect their own territory. They also want to protect their own livelihood. And they are doing that. So for you to come and get upset that they are going there to the farm and stuff, it's being disingenuous because you threaten them. You are responsible for your own actions and you should take responsibility. This is our own making. When they come to spaces, when you meet them on timelines, they shout at you. Right now, Mateo is in US, he's just confirming to you that is in US. It's just a confirmation that he's not at the farm. But he shares the same sentiments with the people who have gone to the farm. But because you become so toxic on spaces that people have to protect themselves. It's like right now, ZANU-PF has got every reason to say, you know what, you went, you locked the economy. You called for sanctions, the country suffered in sanctions. We will protect the political space.
Which sanctions are you talking about?
Even if there's no food in the country, we'll rig those elections and make sure that we consolidate the political space. And who suffers? It's the masses. So our actions, they really reflect on what is happening in the future. You might not agree, but that's the reality of the matter. You might not agree, but that's the reality of the matter. The people who are going to Precade right now, they are not there going there because to save anyone's interest. It's their own personal interest that they are saving now. Because they've realized and understood the message that came from you as the people who are voting. That's the logic part of it. The rest of the matter you can argue and
who voted for Tshabangu? Who voted for Tshabangu?
He's there for that reason as well. Tshabangu is there for that reason as well.
Who voted
for him? Realized that you. No, wait. Can you close your mic, brother?
Who voted for Tshabangu?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That one is another story for another day. But I'm telling you, this kind of toxicity that you demonstrate to your own people, not across the aisle, to your own people, is the one that is pushing them to behave the same way that they are behaving.
That's absolutely.
They are going to the farm right now to protect and consolidate their position. You won't be shocked in 2030, they will still want to go further because they have understood your attitude. They know how you behave, and they know the kind of threats that you send them. But at the end of the day, it's to everyone's expense, from my grandmother to my grandchildren. It's there, it's going to affect them. Because we have a point where we told ourselves that we matter. The next person doesn't matter. And now they want to show you that whether you voted for me or not, my decision will stand the test of time. And they are there. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You don't even have power. 2030, they'll be there still. And you'll be forming these spaces, fighting against each other, shouting at them. And nothing will change. That's the reality of the matter. So it starts with the way we see things, the way we look at things and say, this is wrong. Let's not do this. Let's not shout. Let's not threaten these people. You threaten an MP right now that next week will make sure that we mobilize everyone. No one will vote for you. Do you think if he sees a clause in certain a constitution or something, he's not tempted to amend it? They will be, definitely. Because it's now a selfish position that you are taking, because you've already taken a selfish position on your own, assassinating a character that you put there. You voted for someone. And you should also understand that whenever you are voting, your effectiveness ends the very time that you put an X in front of someone and throw it in the ballot box. Whatever he does next, it's his decision that is going to take place. And now, because the 4 years or 5 years is coming to an end, and they reflect on what the feedback you are giving them, they'll go away from you. They will go where they think there is longevity in their own stay in power.
Let's go.
And that is what is happening.
Oh.
There is no rocket scientist who can come and explain something that is deeper than that. It's clear. It's just as clear as that. So whether you agree or disagree, or you want to disagree because you want to feel better about certain things, it's up to you. But that's the reality of the matter. You went to cause problems for yourselves, and these problems are coming to hound you, and this is exactly how they're hounding you, and you are feeling violated. How do you feel violated when you violated someone, abused someone on spaces, abused someone on his timeline? You're now feeling violated. He has to be selfish and consolidate his power that he has, and pushes with an agenda that Tshabangu said it verbatim. It's there right now. To say if the people are happy with you, there is no reason. Who am I to say no? It's an indication that there is problems that you created. If you hadn't created those problems in your own camp, no one was going. They were going to fight for you, but they're no longer fighting for you.
Right.
That's the reality of the matter. They're no longer fighting for you because they realize that you are toxic to them. Yes. So whether you like it or agree, it's food for thought. That's the reality of the matter.
Right.
ZANU-PF right now, because of sanctions that were ravaging people earlier on, they were saying, okay, you know what, you can control the economy and do whatever you want. We will hold the political power.
Okay.
Whether we rig it or not, we will hold it. We won't give it away. But who is suffering? So our toxicity that we create within ourselves, that's why we say we get the leadership that we deserve.
Okay.
Can I push back? Can I push back, Uncle?
Right. Okay. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Katas, I want you to be clear here. Are you telling us that ZANU-PF is going against the constitution simply because of the sanctions you are talking about? I hear you saying Chamisa was telling people Sunga one, Sunga dozens. They asked for sanctions and the like. So ZANU-PF had to strategize to consolidate their power. Now, when we look at Tshabangu going to Precade farm, was that necessitated by the opposition?
your submission.
Tshabangu was invited with his cronies to come to the farm and they went there.
I mean, let's go back to where Tshabangu comes from. Tshabangu wasn't voted by the people. Tshabangu went to
Tshabangu
parliament. Where
Tshabangu.
you were talking, I'm still submitting.
No, but you asked me, that's why I need to respond. Unless if you want to tell me something.
Okay, right. Nengi, and you want to push back. In your pushback, do you want to interact with him, or you just want to push back against what he said without any interjection or interaction with him?
I'm doing both.
You can't do both. Choose one. Man.
I'm pushing back and interacting with you.
No, let's interact.
Right, no, what I need, to establish then is if you're going to be interacting, with him, I'm expecting an exchange. So if it is an exchange, that you want, let's do it, in an orderly way, in an orderly way, such that one speaks, the other one listens, the other one, responds, etc. That way. So I'll give you guys, 3 minutes, to do that.
All right, thank you. I was saying, let's look at Tshabangu's rise to power. Tshabangu wasn't constitutionally elected by people. He came to power through recalls. He is a self-imposed Secretary General who was used by ZANU-PF to get into that position. Now he's paying back, as we can see him going to Precade farm. But my question to you was that caused by the opposition or it was caused by ZANU-PF?
Tshabangu is a creation of your own issues. The first part I will actually rubbish it off because you know that the Tshabangu is a product of your own disorganization within your own party. Tshabangu is an opposition member and you knew him prior to the recalls. And he came because of your disorganization within your own setup. And right now, the visit to Kwekwe, it's an invitation. And because he understands how toxic you are, they want to be part of the system, part of the parliament, part of the governance of Zimbabwe, and extend it further to the ordinary term, because they're worried that if they go to an election, you won't take them back. So they still want to prolong their stay there. That doesn't have anything with ZANU-PF. In ZANU-PF, we always want to be there in power for as long as we can. And they are supporting that agenda for us. They will come and support it because they also want to be in power without being voted out by you.
So now we are using the Precade farm to advance the 2030 agenda, right?
No, the Precade farm, they are interested parties. Your opposition members, they are interested parties. They want to come there and be part of the system that you want to fight. So the issue is organize your own parties, speak to your own people, agree not to insult them, so that at least you can speak with one voice. So right now, I'm telling you, Mateo is in the US
Isn't
right
there
now.
another platform where people can express that than going to Precade farm?
No, Precade farm is a matter of choice. They were not forced to go there. If they want to come to my house, they can as well. If they want to come to your house, they can. For as long as it pushes their agenda of staying in parliament, they are prepared to do that.
But look at this. Look at it this way. Suppose Mnangagwa was a successful opposition farmer. He invites parliamentarians in his farm. They were going to be arrested.
No, no one was going to arrest him.
Didn't they arrest people?
It only exists in your mind.
Didn't they arrest people at a braai stand in Avodel?
What were they planning to do there in Avon? They were at Timber's house. You know the dynamics behind.
No,
let's not try to compare apples and oranges.
I am comparing. I want to show you that your analysis is biased.
The problem that we have is in the opposition. You guys, you don't speak to each other. You don't tell each other the truth. That's the problem. And you believe in lies a lot.
Which lies?
You want to soothe yourself with lies.
Which
that
lies?
will make you better.
Which lies
I'm telling you right now. Do you think the people in the opposition were forced to go to Precade?
Yes, they were.
How were they forced?
Because ZANU-PF is using their stooge Tshabangu to whip them into line.
Mateo is in the US. Uncle Wende is busy making bonds at his house. Who is forced to go to Precade? Uncle Wende did not go because he's making bonds. He's waiting to watch the Arsenal and Manchester United game right now at his house.
But we can't use Wende to represent about 70 MPs.
Mateo is already in the US. President Chamisa is busy posting verses there on timeline and telling you that all will be well. So who's forcing who?
What does that have to do with the Precade trip?
Yes, it's a voluntary visit. They dressed up. They woke up in the morning. They bathed. They dressed up. They drove their cars to Precade. Can't you see was busy hogging the man, telling people that if the president wants to stay in office, who are we to say no?
I don't listen to clowns like Tshabangu. Tshabangu did that.
But those are the people who are representing you. It's only that you don't
Tshabangu
like them.
Tshabangu doesn't represent people. No,
and this will keep on taking you to 20.
You know what is when you were ZANU-PF is corrupt because under Chamisa Agatizoni Sunga one Sunga does it.
Right. I'm saying corruption is exacerbated ma-sanctions. Kana imimi mukanzi maisirwa ma-sanctions hamusi kukwanisa kutengesa terera unzwe mukanzi maisirwa ma-sanctions imimi hamusi kukwanisa kutengesa gold renyu on the open market. Munotsvaga an unorthodox way of selling that gold. That's a British corruption. Munhu akaenda nebag rema-diamonds ku-UAE right now. Zvisiri on official market. Akanortengesa akakudzai kuti ndatengesa $100 yatengesa ne$1,000. Who's there to account for that? That's corruption.
Chamisa akatizoni ma-sanctions, corruption is that.
That's what I'm saying. Whenever sanctions are imposed on a nation, look at this. Tarisama countries mazhinji akaiswa ma-sanctions. There is a lot of corruption that goes on there. Why? Because most of the programs that runs the government has on an official scale. It has to be done under deals. Can under table deals, they breed corruption. It's simple logic. But you don't want to hear those things because you want to lie to
Smith had sanctions. We never saw him corrupt.
There was within the administration, he asked me. The apartheid system, there was
sanctions
corruption.
Were imposed in 1965, UTI. We never saw corruption.
Now, if you can't comprehend
okay, guys,
I'm telling you, that means there's a problem.
Right. Keeping the one into the conversation. Those that have been spoken, right? So let's get people to speak. I'm not sure where we were with the speakers in terms of those that have been spoken. I need people that have been spoken, right? Who has spoken?
Me.
You.
Steve. Steve.
Wait.
I also haven't spoken, Uncle Rich.
There's something that I've done here. I don't know. No. Damn. Right, and then
Steve and then Taps, I think.
All right, Steve, whilst I sort something out here. There's something that I've done, which
No,
I'm not
it's
supposed
okay. To be honest, I don't have much to say really, to be honest, but it's just it's a little bit disappointing to see us as kind of like guys of Zimbabwe speaking like this and coming here and watching everything that we should take seriously being taken as fools like this. Everything is a circus, man. We can't really be serious to say that people like Tshabangu now, they can go and speak to your president, and then all of you actually think that's a really, really good idea. That's a good thing that's going to make us take you serious in whatever that you think that you are going to be doing until 2030 or I don't know 2033. It's not good, right? It's not good that we're actually watching the ZANU-PF themselves. They are using a very good strategy from what I can see right now to make everything mediocre so that all of us here right now, we really do not have a good kind of, we can't really engage because everything is really a disaster. It's mediocre, it's stupid. Why would you go to another man's farm? To do what? Right, to another party's farm. They started with the ideology and then they go there and then they are told, Pamberines, Pasine Mandu, Pamberines. Who is Mandu to ZANU-PF? Do you see? Who is Mandu? Kana ZANU-PF to Pasine Mandu, who are they pointing at? Who is that Mandu really? I saw it kind of farm today. Pasine Mandu, who is Mandu? Where's ZANU-PF? Is it not opposition? So what are you doing there? Right. Ungaendere kwaunozoda mai angu achanotukwa every day wosvika kuwamai kwatoka kutuchuzwa zimburugwa mamai ako buya papo odzokera futi mangwana. What is this? What kind of an opposition is this? And why is those ones who believes to be clever enough or those ones who believe to be educated lawyers and I don't know who opposition, why are you allowing Tshabangu speaking for you? Right? Why are you allowing it for him to speak for you? And the cameraman, if the cameraman is here, I'm disappointed for you because I just wanted to see when they are saying Pasine Mandu, what is the opposition guys doing? What are they doing? Do you see? And like I'm always saying to people here, Constitution is people. You can see it right now, and I'm hearing other guys saying, oh, it's difficult to change, it's difficult to do this, because they've made everything into silly. So it's easy now to change. Tomorrow they wake up and say that we've changed this without referendum. What are you going to do? I ask this question. What are you going to do if tomorrow ZANU-PF wake up and say that we change A, B, C, D? What are you going to do? You see, because everything right now, to be honest with you, we may have people here with, I don't know, masters in what, PhD in this, but with what we are seeing right now, it's way beyond intelligence now. It's so silly, to be honest, guys. Why are we doing this to ourselves as men and women who understands what it is to be a Zimbabwe? Everybody, like I will say this over and over this year, we fought for this land. Everybody fought for Zimbabwe, right? Mnangagwa, he's not Monomtapa. And like someone says here, they've already started to put it down. What they do, they put seeds, and then before we know, we're like, no, that's not going to happen. And all of a sudden, it's a tree. Did you see? All of it, we wake up flipping it. This is now a big tree. What are we going to do? And we don't know what to do. So now I say, guys, if there is anything at all that we can do, whatever, if there is a party here that is stable, that's got a strategy, that's got a vision, just follow that so that we can do something. Wow. And then if you really want to wait for Chamisa, join something while you're waiting for that guy to come. With lots of things, like I told you a few days ago, people are rice and don't fit China. You are large, but you guys, people are celebrating. I'm seeing lots of people posing, posing with $5 of rice, right? Because this is where we are now. as Zimbabweans. If there are any problem, I don't know, some award-winning journalists and other countries, this is a ZANU-PF fight. In all honesty, exactly what happened in 2017 is happening now. Right now, if there is anyone at all who's in Zimbabwe, and you will see right now, obviously there's a fraction there, but we don't want to utilize on that. What is happening, or leave them to do whatever they are doing there. Right now, opposition being dragged into this mess because of that guy. And again, if you're offended with that, I mean, go, because our people are dying in Zimbabwe there. Right. People are dying in Zimbabwe while we are here. Because this. Surely, we're going to farm kwa Mnangagwa. For what? How to criticize government. Just imagine, well, this is how you conduct yourself in parliament as an opposition. And then what is happening in our country? What is happening? What happened to the education? What happened to the most educated people in the whole Africa? What happened to that? You see, so let us, if we are to be streetwise, let us be. Uncles, I'm now going to prepare to watch my team win. So thank you so much, guys. But yeah, guys, let's just start to fight for our country. Let us be a little bit clever here, because this is now silly.
That's why I don't really done the warm up here. We're going to prepare team. That's what I'm managing.
After 5. So I just want to make sure. BP yacho mdara life yangu mazwano mdara kwese kuZimbabwe kwacho BP ku Arsenal whatever nako BP andichaziwe kuti toita papi, but kwachikwadi kana pane any party at all, any opposition party in Zimbabwe, you believe that they have a little mock. Right. Let us go behind that while we are waiting for whoever you think is the Messiah. Because right now, to be honest with you, it would be 2,000 years later. We are still waiting for the Messiah. Because right now, I think that we need to do something because nobody is coming for us. If there is anyone at all, I'm not advocating for anyone, but if there is anyone who can come here and say that, let's go behind that. And because I know opposition is Mandugu ZANU-PF. What is happening?
Right.
So,
Anyway.
So thank you.
Okay, cheers. Right.
Disu any amuru kutaura Steve. Disu mandu dzacho dzemashuwa.
Right. Okay. Right. Let's go to the Piwa and then
Relax. God is in it. Change is coming soon. But God is in it. Change is coming soon, guys. No need to be angry or anything. This is all part of God's vision. God is in it. According to Nelson Chamisa Saka, while everyone is angry at everything else, I mean, someone woke up and decided and set a goal and they're achieving it and you are mad at them. But it is what it is. We won't talk about how these guys misfired in their end and then want to blame everything and get angry at Tshabangu today. But God is in it, guys. Those people.
Right. Okay. No problem. Right. Sorry. Right. So let's go to some jobs, coming jobs, and then we'll go to Dr. Tadini.
Yeah, many things. Yeah, God is in it. We have to accept Him for those who believe in God, because we can't violate other people's belief and religion because we don't believe in it. But at the same time, I'm coming, Steve. Savior ndiwe Messiah wacho achaseva Zimbabwe ndiwe neni. Musanyepero kuti pane mumwe achauya kuzoiseva or whatever. Whatever we are going to do, those just save Zimbabwe. And
the tricky part of it now, the opposition to 2030 is there in ZANU-PF, is there more in ZANU-PF than in CCC. I'm telling you, going to the number for the ratio in the parliament to say how many in the CCC are opposing 2030 and how many in the ZANU-PF are opposing 2030. So ameno tichaseka kuti tichafamba sei, ameno kuchaura tsvimbo nedohwe, but we know those people can be just bold in parliament and vote for what they don't believe and hope that the majority of the people would vote no in a referendum. So it's a very complicated situation. But where there is a trick, the majority of even Warakashi, they don't want to be involved in those 2030. They don't come clear. Even the so-called honorable, honorable Anabasa, because he doesn't know even the responsibility of an MP. Anga achitongorotomoka zvake kuti ma-MP akaita kuanoita pakati. Then there are several issues which need to be addressed. Kune vamwe vanongouya vachinyepa kana chimufana chacho yaThompson chacha kunyepa kuti ndobva kumatebelere ndibva kumiti tatiri kure nemai tikadaita mutaura nepaisenza baba vake nepaita sei ambonzwisisa kuti rikumuziva zvekeka darakere kuti Thompson akashandisa pasikuita toza kuti nderake nekuti ndorarushandisa zvogumira ipapa richiripo riri pachituka togumira pando ipapo. But then the issue Precade farm yaita zviri right, people keep on exposing themselves. Mukataura kuti akati is not anti people ari kutopromota 2030 ari kuopposition munozoita na, but vanoenda ikoko munenge makuvaona kuti who is who. Now you can identify who is who and understand those people to say achinesu ndeupi asisina isu ndeupi, because we cannot say ese munhu wese ari muparliament we-CCC ari kutengesa, because kune vamwe vasiri kutozotengesa and so forth. But that issue inoita kuti tinyatso kuidentify, because we can't find somebody isu tiri kunzi mhandu, but isusu if we fail to identify whom are we fighting tenge tatofeila. But iyo ma-influence akadaro akanakira ipapo kuti they will keep on identifying themselves kuti ava ndo vanhu vari kutoti tiri mhandu, because mangwana tenge takuzoziva kuti kana takuchema kana kuti takutiza tikatiza nepamba pake anotitengesa tichatizi naipapo, because we know how we are going to fight our fight. We are going to fight that our fight. There's no need. Tingamboite zvekuita sei, because some people would label as ZANU-PF or whatever. We don't care. We don't drop our weapons because watirembura kuti tiri ZANU-PF or whatever. So but chinhu chaMnangagwa hatina ZANU, and vanhu vari kuradi vezanu vato mageneral ndezanu vari parani vakawanda iko zvinezvi ma-MP nemakansela ndevezanu vari kurani because of Mnangagwa ari kushanda nevanoshandika nazo mbavha dzisiri dzezanu vana chivayo vanani maovheti chaiwo ndo ari kuchema kuti hazvizvo zvatakarwira or whatever. So we understand ma-weakness aripo nema-strength aripo, saka let's capitalize nema-strength atinawo iwayo kuti 2030 hazaina full support. Naiye Mnangagwa wacho haana kupinda pachinzvimbo ane full support, akapinda as a function and akangoramba ari mufunction. He failed to unify nemamwe vake ve-G40 and they are still fighting. And let's capitalize on it kuti 2030 isake iripo, because it means nothing, to be honest. 2030 means nothing to us because hapana zvari kuita. Kana zvipembere zvava kufa muna Zambezi, zvanzi mvura yemuna Zambezi yaitwa poison, mvuu dzichifa kulake uko kwaHarare zvizi kwai poison inouraya mvuu iwe ngakusiya, kana kuBulawayo kwakunzi mvura iko yakaonekwa ine manyoka 52%, 48 to 52% manyoka mvura iko. So how are we going to survive chaiwo kana kuti tigara ndiye kuti tichinesi we are no longer hatikaioni. Kana Zambezi zvitaurwa nevamwe kuti muri kuchinjana raisi renguruve ndora muri kuchinjana nelithium ameno kuti kudzidza kwacho kwatozobotaura kuti takadzidza kune zviro kuti hareketa tigumire ipapo tozodzoka kupaseke ndatenda nangogedze angotaita nevamwe vakateerera nevamwe vari kudawo kuzotaura mike yenyu.
Right, thank you very much. Appreciate. Right, let's go to the next speaker.
Yeah, Uncle, good morning, evening, Maneru. Kwamuri, yeah, it's at some point it gets to, I think I get frustrated when we continuously fall for the same trick. I don't think, but at this point you really need to put so much emphasis in fighting what ZANU-PF would be saying, is really absurd, right? Like justification of sanctions. I think that would be justification of corruption because there are sanctions that have been placed on 11 individuals, such as including the first family, members of the first family of Zimbabwe. And I don't think that is essential. I think that's a very old game. That's what they always do, and at this point we should know it, and we should be worried more about what are we doing if we're people that are really speaking about opposing the bad that is happening in Zimbabwe? Twitter tiri kunyatsoita chiri tangible. Apart from having this conversation, come here, then ovhoetsana nharo nemurakashi womubvunza questions that you already know my answers to. Because paurikubvunza questions, you already know the correct answer, but you also already know that he's not going to give the correct answer. So what are you getting out of it? I think that assessment is essential. Kuti munhu wese azviite assessment. We've been in this game in social media, especially when it comes to Twitter and X, for a number of years now. You have a lot of speakers that have been talking for several years now, maybe 2-3 years, and the conversation is not progressing. And when I say it's not progressing, I'm talking about it's always ZANU-PF comes in, you already know the character, then the character comes and says something that is absurd. Then you ask them questions, you try to prove that what they're saying is absurd, but you don't have to. They already know that it is absurd. You already know that it is absurd. You already know that they will give the wrong answer. They expect to give the wrong answer. The audience knows this also. So I think apart from effort yedu nemazai, gentlemen, where we're supposed to be putting our eggs is in how do you rebuild after the resistance movement that you knew has been broken down. And then what accountability are you putting to yourself iwewe as an individual? Kuti after ndaenda kugathering yandoenda yamkoma Girard where there are 300 individuals, what have I come up with out of that gathering apart from what I always come up with from the past years? At best a tap on my shoulder yandozvipa ndega kuti yes nhasi ndamupikisa I can ndiyauya murakashe nhasi ndamupikisa zvishua. And apart from that, what else are you coming up with? Can you actually look back and say, okay, as an activist against what is happening in Zimbabwe, as a political participant against what is happening in Zimbabwe, this is what I have done. This is the progress that I can see behind me, and this is how I am escalating my fight. I use the word escalating deliberately. ZANU-PF escalator its fight. It is trying to attack a constitution that was set into place in 2013. They are refashioning it. They're trying to extend terms for MPs in ZANU-PF and MPs that are in ZANU-PF but pretend to be in opposition. That's what they're doing. And they are escalating that. They have gone to a point where they're trying to create a monarch. Mutapa is a monarch. That's why you want to have the birthday of the monarch on the calendar. That's why you have a fund, the royal or crown deposit. That's what you have in the form of Mutapa Fund. That's why no one can touch it. No one understands what's going on with it, including the parliamentarians. They are totally blocked out. They don't really know what's happening with the fund and who it's benefiting. This is escalation. It's moving from what we have always argued, which is the competitive authoritarian regime, to a full-blown authoritarian government that dares to, at best, to be one-party state, at worst, to be a monarch. You see, so it is essential kuti titarise kuside kwatoti okay ndo escalation iriko kuside kwangu. How am I also escalating? How am I also stepping up for the things that I've been speaking about for so many years, or the things that I've been going to my paragraph edu anonyorwa nema leaders so many years tikuramba tinoisa like? How am I escalating it? If you look at that journey and you do not see change, then you have to question yourself and say, am I truly opposing ZANU-PF? Or I like entertainment yekuti ndinouya then ndobva ndataura nevanhu topikisana time yangu yofamba ndoenda ndonoona bhora, ndinouya topikisana nevanhu mangwana ndoenda kubasa, panenge ndiri pabreak palunch ndinouya ndopikisana nevanhu ndoratidza kuti izvi sure maybe I've read a few complicated books, I've listened to a few bright minds, and I assimilated some of their ways of talking, I absorbed some of their thoughts, I can repeat it, I can say a tortoise on the lamp post with an understanding of what it means. So I come and just repeat that. That's what we have to ask ourselves. And I fear, Kuti, for the majority of us, when we look at that tapestry, when we look at that path that we've walked, that painting for the past 3 years, it is going to be constant. We have not escalated. So the challenge that I'm putting again before people is it's time to escalate. How do you escalate? How do you improve your participation? You organize. You organize, you join organizations, zilipo kudara, political institutions, civic groups. You form new political institutions. You create civic groups, create opposition political parties, you create church even. We are good church yakamirira kupikisa. The Catholic has done it. They have their groups, the Jesuits. We are familiar with the influence of the Jesuits across the world. It's one of the most powerful institutions in terms of reshaping leadership. We can do the same. But Apostle are dedicated to Shandura. It doesn't matter how you organize the Institute of Politics, as long as it is an institute that is there to resist, and as long as the people go beyond talking and actually put their theories into praxis. We have to be people who could pan up. We are willing to put the things that we suggest into practice. We are willing to see them fail, and then we are willing to improve upon them. Beyond kungofunga kuti tinozviimagina tozvitsokorodza tozvitaura. I think last time ndakataura mukumachirati ndakati tine problem iri kuitika. Problem iri kuitika ndeyekuti we are now all familiar with the problem of Zimbabwe, the challenge that it is facing because of ZANU-PF rule, and everyone can repeat that. And even a grade 7 can tell you things are bad, and they can tell you the exact speech that was given by our top opposition leaders. This as an example, the God is in it mantra. No one doesn't know that, and what it is supposed to insinuate, all that. But what is missing from the leadership and the population is the next step, the escalation part. Now that we have a full understanding of our challenge, what is our revolutionary theory supposed to say about how do we address our challenge? And that is what I am proposing. First step, ladies and gentlemen, partner up, organize. Kana musiri kuda kuuya kunosheka hand na Dr. Tadini tiri muuza, endai munosheka hand muri kumwe kuseri. Endai munosheka hand kune vamuri kuda kuti vasheke hand, vanozviti tiri resistance. But kana vasiri kuita anything izvozvo, you need to start pushing them. Push them, but look, gentlemen, we are suffering now. Why are you silent? We are suffering now. Why are you not acting? Look, ladies, I think it is time we go beyond kunyora theses on timelines, kunyora theses in newspaper pieces, kutama interviews, asingaperi. We have done that. We've exhausted that. If anything, we're now supposed to give the people of Zimbabwe, all of them, degrees in politics. We're all supposed to give them degrees in political science because they have been heavily bombarded by this message, especially from opposition, to a point where we have reached a plateau. It is just now a flat beep. It is just now a flat line. Nekuti takungozviexpecta kuti ninguya watoziya achauya oita paragraph yakadai toisa like, ninga achauya otaura zvakadai Dr. Masai toombera maoko toisa like zvopera. Hatisi kuenda next step. Next step, kuisa leap. Zvese zvatakutaura pana zvinomake sense, but it can only be practiced when you organize with other people in an institution. When I say institution, and kutaura futi kuti itai building, you don't need to have a building or buy cars. I'm saying join hands with like minds, and then start to put some of these things that we're talking about, the resistance, into practice. Zvinhu zvese zvinozouya. A critical part of an institution is the people, not the rules that they write down, not the buildings that they build, not the cars that they end up buying. Those are just tools. The institution itself and the organization are those people. Which is why I also argue with Van Panota, no political parties have failed us. No, political parties are not animals unto themselves, independent of the citizen. Political parties are made up of the citizen. When a political party boasts that it is 1 million members, it is saying that it is 1 million citizens. And if it, in any way or shape it appears to be falling short, it means that the citizens are incapable, or at least the 1 million that make up that political party are incapable, or at least the citizens that have been charged with directing the 1 million are incapable. And therefore, we should reshuffle, look for others that might be able to lead a better vision. Indeed. So please, ladies and gentlemen, apart from talking, question yourself, what have I done? I always end with this joke. I call it a joke now because people say, why do you insult yourself in my messages, in my inbox? Kuti, uyai kubato kwangu, tiite outvote mamwe maposition ari kuholdwa ne-political party so that we can cause some movement. Uyai kubato kwangu, titoite faction iri within our political party that will then cause that political party to act in a certain way. Pamunoti kuZANU-PF kune ma-factions, ma-organizations ese ane ma-factions. Inini ndinoshanda mu-science field, ndinotokuudzai kuti kune faction yaningi, kune faction yaningi. At least kwedu inenge iri healthy in the sense yekuti pamwe havari kuti piritsi inofanira kugadzirwa nebhainda yakati, isusu kuti inofanira kugadzirwa nebhainda yakati. To argue for different positions, but it all leads to one thing: a better organization. And that is lacking. And we have limited ourselves to only absorbing from very few and to not encourage a healthy competition, especially in opposition. I want to end on this one, Kuma Gerard. I think there's a lot to be said specifically to those that are opposing, as opposed to kutitambe tichizvinetsa nema-MPs anenge aenda kana kuti asina kuenda. What is clear is that they've sold out. That is clear from day one. Right now, as we speak, you don't have real resistance on issues that require resistance. It's as if there are no opposition MPs. They have huge voices compared to you and me, better funding compared to you and me, but the silence from them is deafening. So you cannot continue to ask whether they are playing ball for you or not. That is clear. They are not playing ball for you. They are playing ball for themselves. So rather than continuously kneeling down and praying with Pangwaja Chinja or begging them, speaking ill of them, but they will see their errors and they will reform their ways, that's not going to happen. What we simply need to do is create alternative centers of power. So I think there's a lot more to do with the conversation, a lot more that we have to talk about, a conversation that centers on how do we progress from this state that we find ourselves as people who are opposing the EU in Zimbabwe. I think that is a critical conversation that is missing. We are stuck in this old conversation of what is ZANU-PF and what is doing wrong, to a point that we have become the unwilling marketers of ZANU-PF itself. Can you imagine with Panapataka 300 progressive minds, but the central piece of that discussion is ZANU-PF? And what can cause ZANU-PF to be the central piece of that discussion is simply one Tadare coming here. Yet Panepane 9 or 10 speakers, the opposition, at least in mind and in speech. You see, so we're being held ransom by ZANU-PF, even in the mind. We have to break free from that. How do we break free? Let's focus on us and how we get from this position. Well, I think there's one thing that I thought I should really address also. The issue Kana Dr. Masaya, if by chance he makes it into being an MP, or he is the advisor to an MP, or he ends up being responsible for some function of government, the people of Zimbabwe should be afraid to reprimand him. The people of Zimbabwe should be afraid to show the displeasure with him because anogona kuzomuka ovhotera Bura Musingade. That is absolute nonsense. We should never accept that. We should never have someone guilt trip us kuti makambomudzirei kuti hamusikuda zvakadaro. Ndosaka akuvhotera zvaari kuvhotera zvekuti Mnangagwa ngaende mberi. No, ari kuvhotera zvaari kuvhotera nekuti ndiwo munhu waagara ari. Selfish at the core, and they will burn the horde to save one. They will kill a million people to save one, and that one is themselves. And when we say kill for Zimbabwe, that's not exaggerated because people are dying every day, poor health. You know it. That list is endless. Again, we always repeat those words, but you know what I mean. You see, so it's not because takamuzoti tazvirinani actor semunhu opposition wataka elector kuti oppose. You know, it's not because we've done that. If anything, that is the culture that is needed in Zimbabwe. That is the culture that has been lacking in ZANU-PF for the longest time. That if it was there, maybe we would not have been having this conversation. If there was that attitude yekuti hakuna chef kana kuti hakuna kutya munhu akasarudzwa, munhu who has privileges that have been bestowed upon them simply because people lifted their hands or people put their X, and that person becomes a threat to us. We should never permit that. We hold a power, and that power is 1/16 million. If the number 16 million represents all Zimbabweans, and that power is equal, what happens is others seem to hold more power because they have formed organizations that support their interests. For the rest of us, we need to come together, congregate, to that 1/16 million, and we'll be able to resist people that threaten us for correcting them when they're doing things that are wrong, and we'll be able to remove them. We can go to a new political system where all the current MPs do not mean anything, where the 99 League, we can say thank you to them for the political awareness that they've given us, but we can also tell them that it ends there. It is time for a new political approach. You have done what you're called to save at this point. What you're now doing, so let's take up the challenge. If you want to be UZA, call me. If you want to be in other organizations that are apolitical, in the sense that they are not seeking to hold office, but are seeking to resist, we participate in a lot of that. And that is essential. Every Zimbabwean has to understand that parties with Mukoma Gerard triple building stage when it comes to opposition. There's nothing. There's nothing apart from the smokes of resistance that are building. And this is the critical part to join, because if I'm not going to then fully insert what is the ideology that you want your nation to pursue or the institutions that direct power to pursue. So please, guys, let it go beyond speech. Ingoma Gerard yekupedzisira ndeyenyu, but handofunga kuti iri personal, tozoisa kuseri. Tozoisa kuseri. Yeah, but and I have to emphasize this one. It can say, let's not appease abusers. Kunzaiwa tikasava challenge avaita chinhu chakashata pamwe havavhotere zvinhu zvakaipa. I was at an institution, ladies were being taken advantage of, assaulted. So they would teach, the police would come in and give those education, you know, kuti kana uchida kuadaptwa, ukabatwa, ukabiwa, ukaiswa mumota, usambofa wakafurirwa chero wakabatwa, ukanongedzwa nefuti kuti aiwa ukakomplya, zvinhu zvichazofamba zvakanaka. Chitongoconsider kuti wafa. In essence, what the police were saying is never negotiate with an abuser or appease them and think that things would somehow turn out good for you. So we cannot appease ZANU-PF because we hope then that would change them into better people. We cannot appease opposition MPs that have chosen to go haywire because they don't like us remanding them. We cannot do that. Let us take it that we are being adapted, we are in a car, a gun at our head. We'll still tell them the truth and we'll act as we should to find our own independence, to reclaim our liberties. Host, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Tadini. Thanks for that. I think let's go to the next speaker. Okay, yes, Grace, you can go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Well, I wanted to a few things that Tadini said, but I want to make a generalization, basically a general observation, which we must think about going into the future. Zimbabwe and Zimbabweans, we are generally politically docile, so we need leadership. I say we are politically docile because we have been force-fed some terribly destructive philosophies over the last 45, maybe 50 years, perhaps even before then, that we must, if someone who's a chief or who's a president or a minister shows up to where you are, whatever they say is the Bible truth, and you just buckle up and obey what they say. So what happens is when we have crooks marauding as leaders, we follow those crooks until some of us start saying, hey, this person is a crook. We are not. Then some will start saying, oh, but no, he's all right. Oh, no, he's not. The reason I'm saying this is we have to think carefully about where Zimbabwe is going. We know the journey we have traveled up to this point, and there is no reason to have any qualms about where we are. In the great family of Africa, Zimbabwe must be ranking the West right now. Pretty unexpected if you were to ask anyone in 1980, because we were the cream of the crop, basically. So now that we are where we are, I am very much in support of the idea of people having to have some reawakening of sorts. Reawakening because I think those that have run Zimbabwe aground up to this point, they have used divide and conquer in every facet of our life. To the extent that today, if you look at where we are, even some people in ZANU-PF today were born well after 1980, but they would talk about the Liberation War as if they were actually killing the bandoliers and the bazookas and the submarines and the submachine guns and so on and so on. Because that's what happens in a patronage system. What I am asking you to think about is probably what Tadini has suggested, but beyond what he has suggested, I'm asking all of us to remember that if we keep talking about leadership in Zimbabwe, we are talking about something that doesn't exist, whether in ZANU-PF or in the opposition. And I mean here leadership that is pro-Zimbabwe. And by pro-Zimbabwe, I mean people who are walking the streets of Glenview, Chavezi, Gwanda, Lupane, Mutoko, Mutare, the ordinary man who has nothing to his name. Those people have no one to care for them. And guess what? Zimbabwe today, the way it's structured, is not able to take care of those people. So the leadership I have in my mind is the leadership that says, okay, of all, I don't know how many provinces we have now, what is where that we can use for the best use of our nation? In other words, where we have dams, for example, can we use those dams to feed communities around that area and across the nation at large? If we have minerals, are these minerals, can we use them to help the community and the nation at large? People who are not thinking of their stomach, because we now believe that politics is an employment or a profession. Politics shouldn't be a profession. Government is not a profession. Government should be a service. So whoever thinks about the political party today, think about Are we going to rescue Zimbabwe from the corruption-ridden ZANU-PF? But more than just the corruption-ridden ZANU-PF, they have created their enablers. And these are the people we today call the opposition political parties. Guess what? With this same group or this same regime of actors, we are going nowhere. We keep running circles again. So today they are talking about 2030. Guess what? In 5 years' time, they will move the goalpost to 2050. And some of us by then we may no longer be there. So that's how the perpetuation of evil can continue. So we need to create a line and say, okay, today becomes the day we start putting ideas on the table, not to harm the next person, whether that person is in ZANU-PF or not to even slander their name. We already know, like WDO said, we already know what's been going on. We can't keep harping the same song because we need a new song now. The new song should be, can we start now to think about rebuilding Zimbabwe without those actors that have taken us to this far? Because those actors, people confuse going to a farm and saying they are being taught to agriculture. That's stupid. At a basic level, consider if someone comes and says that, remember that he is wasting your time because none of those 210 MPs is a serious farmer. And if they were, they wouldn't waste time going for a 1 hour show to the farm on a Sunday. That makes no sense. So I'm saying we can't continue to think that we can recycle these politicians we have today and these political parties that we have today and get a new result. That's called foolishness. Now it comes to those that want to be serious about new political parties or whatever forms of activism they want to have. If your idea is to glorify yourself, then this is anti-Zimbabwe. But if your idea is to seek real efforts and create a new culture in our politics which says, let's compete on ideas, not on killing each other, not on maiming each other, not on destroying another person. That is the new culture we need to create now, which says, I am not supposed to be afraid to tell Mnangagwa, I am here. I oppose everything you are saying. Whatever good you are doing, I will say it. But I wanted the chance on national TV, on national radio to say it. Equally, I must have the chance to say what you're not doing right. This should generate a new wave which says, I'm not afraid. You are going to kill me. Oh, yeah, by the way, I shouldn't be afraid to be dead because, we all know, whether I sit here and be afraid or not, people are dying today. I don't know how many have died already, but they are dying. They're at the hands of this government. So either I postpone my death because I'm waiting for the time when God says it's your time, whatever that is, or I choose to say no. It's better for me now to put myself in this position where I must be the voice of reason, which says enough is enough. Zimbabwe is not a poor nation, but it's been run poor because of few people who are deathly selfish. So my contribution to you is to think about now, not in terms of Zambia, but now in terms of what we can do to resuscitate, to save Zimbabwe. One more last point. If you want to know where you stand as a human being, and when we talk about politics, you gravitate towards a man or a woman, then you must know you are brain dead. Here's what I'm going to discourage you to do. Don't follow a man, but follow their principles. If those principles align with your expectations, then fine. If they don't align with you, then you are being led to some place you don't. If these new political parties come and they are not talking about ideas on how to rebuild Zimbabwe beyond the mess that NPF has created, then it's another waste of time. And we will be talking about the same thing 20 years from today. So I think we ought to do what's necessary and in real time, what's urgent, which is to stop this mess and start over. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother, His Grace. Thank you. I was just going to ask you though, how do you then differentiate between a man and these principles? Because you said don't follow a man, follow his principles. So if a man has got principles that I like, I'll end up following him because the principles are coming from the person. Is that not correct?
I like that question. But let me, if I say let's say I say I'm opposed to corruption. You've heard the statement I'm opposed to corruption, but you need to dig deeper and say, okay, you're opposed to corruption. How? How are you going to affect your philosophy of opposition to corruption? If they cannot give you details beyond, it's just like we've heard over the years, right? People are saying, oh, well, getting rid of ZANU-PF is not a solution for Zimbabwe. It may be the first step, but there are deeper problems today in Zimbabwe, even without ZANU-PF. Because ZANU-PF actually need to be saved from themselves. They don't even know what to do. So my point here is, if someone says, yeah, I don't like ZANU-PF, sure, we all don't like ZANU-PF. No, who wants all the tragedy that Zimbabwe is today? We all don't like it, but what is the solution beyond? Look, something I may not have said. If we need to start talking about a new political culture and activate it on the streets and the rural areas, wherever we are in Zimbabwe, to a point where people understand, oh no, we don't necessarily have to listen to someone because akabata ishamu isunga, yeah, that's okay. But Kundisunga is a chance for me to say to the world what Zimbabwe needs. Because force is not going to build new ideas. Force simply says, don't say what you want to say because we are not at the meeting that we have messed this whole nation up. But that's not going, it's not long lasting if we as citizens decide enough is enough. So yes, if I say a principle, dig into that. Look, if it's all going to be about me, then you know this is just a facade. And we need to stop that. We have had too many politicians, some of who brothers and sisters sometimes don't even talk because one got ninge. Ask them exactly what does this person stand for? They have no answer. We need to change that. That's what I think.
I hear you. I think I agree with you and I don't agree with you. Point there are deeper problems outside of ZANU-PF. In Mnangagwa, I think that's where the problem is. That's where Dramataura. Personally, that's my opinion, because you said even outside ZANU, we've got...
Maybe I can explain what I mean by that so that you see where I'm going.
When you say we've got deeper problems out besides ZANU-PF.
Yes.
Okay, if you want to do it in 30 seconds, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. This is about the philosophy of managing an economy. If I say I want to lead the Department of Agriculture, for example, I must be willing to go deep back to Matepa, where there is a man on a farm or strip of land to tell them we have a new regime of how we want to our farming to done. Remember the old farming ways where they had domain and something at every level, from village to the district to the province and something so. All those institutions need to be resuscitated. So when I say deeper problems, because look, sometimes people think if you become I was okay. At some point you may need to know. At some point I had the ear of some people in the unity government, and one of the things I kept telling them, you are not changing anything unless you go back to the basics and say, how can this gold panning thing needs to be stopped? But the only way for gold panning, for example, to be stopped is we need to create environments where mabasa anowanikwa kumaruzevha without people wanting to go kuharare.
Is that not the government that's supposed to be creating that environment?
That's a government. Vanhu vakasafunga deeply about what they intend to do. Government vanhu tisu vanhu vacho, whether it's a political party or tisu vanhu vacho, we have to think deeply, what exactly do we want to do? How can we change this situation? So if you as a citizen, you owe it yourself to go and demand
right.
Yes.
Now I hear you. If you're talking about holding hold the current government to account, then we agree. Then we totally
agree. We can
agree.
even advance our ideas to them.
But yeah, because for me, I think the government should create a conducive environment for industries to thrive, for employment to come through, yes, people, we should challenge. I totally agree with you, Kuti. I think Zimbabweans were too much peace loving. We are too much, in the background, commentators and political commentators and everything like that. I do agree. But the government is responsible for creating that conducive environment for us to thrive, for the kids to get employment, for these industries to open. It is the responsibility of ZANU-PF, who are the ruling government. And yes, I think I hear your point, Kuti. We should challenge them. We are the government. I hear that point. Then it will open another story. But thank you, my brother. Thank you for that submission. Anyway, I've got quick heads that are up. Ma Riba said, do you guys study any and
Hatisati
Taura?
tataura.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, mine is an interaction. Just a short one.
Just a short one. Okay.
Ade mambomira ma-interaction timbotaura.
Let me just give him 30 seconds or a minute. Consider it.
Yeah, so I think I agree with my brother, and I think when he says the principles of the person, I would phrase it as principles in general. So when I say we are anti-corruption, or when I say I'm a Pan-Africanist, it is that which is encapsulated in being a Pan-Africanist. So it doesn't matter who is claiming the same, because the principles remain constant even if the man changes. So on the path of anti-corruption, you corrupt, corrupt. It doesn't matter what t-shirt we are wearing, or the path of following our ideology. It doesn't matter who falls out that on the way way sideways as we are going on that journey. And I think that's critical. Then when it comes to the last one, issue holding our government to account, presenting ideas to it. You can only present ideas to people that can carry out the ideas, to people that are willing to listen to the ideas. You can also only hold to account in single units, people that are willing or have facilitated and created a means for them to be held to account, single units. But with situation in Zimbabwe, there is none of that. So we can't hold to account a government that doesn't want to be held to account. What you can do is resist that government. Because even when you say, I'm trying to hold you to account, it essentially becomes resistance to what it is doing. So in this case, we're talking about 2030. Holding them to account is the constitution says this, we voted for it in 2018, let's stick to that. That's holding them to account. But if you also notice that you have automatically made yourself a form of resistance in that you are blocking the path to 2030. So let us not fool ourselves. In the case of Zimbabwe, if you oppose, you are a resistance to what is bad. And let us assume that position in the full sense of it. Resistance to what is bad. Not they already know the law. They already know what they're supposed to do. They already know the state of Barrenyatwa. They have people who drive my GD6 to that workplace every day, who sit in very high boards, who give false reports. They know that Masua Zakamirasi, they know this. They are not living in planet Mars. They are together with us. So you don't hold such people to account. You resist and remove. Had they been maybe living in UK like what our Minister of Finance was doing, we would argue that maybe they don't see it. After going to Parliament, jumps on a plane, goes to a corner next to Windsor there. Then yeah, we can say he's not seeing it. But the rest of them are there with us in the shit, pardon my language. So you don't hold to account such people. You resist, and that is where we are, organized to resist. And unfortunately, we are resisting even those that have called themselves opposition for the longest. I always stress we are applaud them for the political awareness, but it is time that they either step aside or reshape and do the correct thing. I fear they cannot reshape, especially in my latest development. So we have to reform, organize. That's the message. Be part of something.
Totally. Yes, we look up to, well, you say don't look to politicians, but yeah, you're one of the politicians. So when you speak like that, it's quite refreshing, honestly. So anyway, let's move on to, I think Tangachena Baba Jason Mateo, then Twenda Kuna Signora. So do Tangana Baba Mateo.
Mnenge mandikangamwa movu, mnenge mandikangamwa.
Or I'll revert to you, Tommy.
How are you? How are you, Zimbabweans? First of all, I think I can see what Tinashe is put there, that everyone is not happy. Yes, that's the truth. No one is happy whether you are ZANU-PF or you are in the opposition. But unfortunately, we are not doing anything about it. Some of us are now old, have gone old, and hoping that things will change somehow. That I'm also disappointed, especially the fact that Dr. Ngomo once said the youths are going to rescue Zimbabwe, but maybe it will not happen in some of us, in our lives, some of us. How long it's going to take, that's the disappointment that I have. Thanks to people like Dr. Masaya that have actually went on to talk about this. The only solution, if I say the only, that's wrong. The solution that I believe is best for our situation as Zimbabweans is to build strong institutions. We do a lot of hero worshipping, and we rely on individuals instead of you yourself doing something, coming together with people that are like-minded, and then together, work together. Because at the moment, I tell you what, the opposition is completely destroyed. There is nothing that we can talk about as the opposition right now. And people like Tshabangu, of course, have found a way of actually surviving, coming from the dust, right, getting right at the top of the mountain. Let's do something as individuals and as communities that we can actually reverse things and make Zimbabwe work. Because as long as we continue under the current in the current direction, nothing is going to change. We are allowing ourselves to be divided more and more, each time more and more, so that those that are the elite that are ruling us can survive as long as they want. And that's why you find they don't even take care about what you or anybody else believe should be happening in the country. No, it's about them and their closet or their close friends and family that are there. As long as they are happy, this will go on. They will not realize that anyone else is suffering. So what I may want to say to encourage is that we all as Zimbabweans together, come together and work things out together, and make sure that at least we have done something to actually stop the rot that Zimbabwe is going through. Because as we speak, I think probably in the next 10 years or so, there may be nothing to resurrect in Zimbabwe because everything is being destroyed as we speak. So I think it's really upon, I implore and ask the young people to actually realize that if they don't come together and seriously do something, then their situation will be worse than the life that I've personally lived. So that's Uncle Jed. That's my contribution. I was just saying to myself, look, I know people are pained, people talk, and this is the other problem that we have. We are very good at debating. We are very good at talking, but what action are we taking? Nothing. Thank you.
All right. No, thank you, Baba Mateo. Just a quick question, if you don't mind. So I think what we're looking here at, obviously, these so-called opposition MPs that have gone to Precade farm. We all know that they are not oppositions. They are not real opposition. We had a case where I think the Ostalos came here on a platform, one of the spaces that we hold, and he didn't mention that Chamisa wanted everybody to stay out of the parliament because he felt this is a poison chalice. But obviously, people made their own decisions, and they went there. Were two oppositions that obviously resigned, Makam and Fadzai, citing that Chinuchao Raichi and all that. What's your take, you mean personally, on that division into decision making by the opposition MPs, that some of them stayed, some of them left, and how this has affected Tshabangu, whipping them into line? Just your personal view.
Titus, all that has happened, has been allowed to happen because of poor communication. There is poor communication even within the opposition ranks. It's even worse now. People are not working together. And this is the reason why you find, people like Tshabangu have actually been able to do what they are doing now. And the MPs, at some stage, I ask myself, I personally tried to phone to find out what was going on after President Chamisa resigned from the CCC. If CCC was a very strong institution, things would have been made straight away to make sure that there is a way forward, way to go. But we went for months and months, and people were saying we are waiting for President Chamisa. To do what? How about you? What are you doing? Why not, at that point, people should have actually come together and say, right, look, this is, and I believe people actually try to do it. But that's when Timber was actually chosen as the administrator, because people came together. But from there on, communication lagged. There was no togetherness to say, right, let's all do this at the same time. If things had been communicated properly and in a way that is clear, we wouldn't be where we are today. I personally am very disappointed because some of us, whatever we've been fighting, whether on platforms, on the social media and on the ground, we've been fighting the regime. But right where it is now, it's so disappointing. Thank you.
Okay. No, that's fine. I had a question that was specific, but no, I think for now, I hear your point, Baba Mateo. Thank you for that. Anyway, let me move on to, okay. So Bartholomew, you did come in first before Signoro. So I'll come to you, then we go to Signoro.
Oh, thank you very much, Ango Jets and Move Taters. I say to all the listeners and speakers, good year. I wish you the best of luck. This is my take. The opposition was like, let me put it in this way: a tire. There's those tires which are running flats. A tire which got a puncture but is still running, but the puncture happened long back. So now this is just the conclusion when the rims are even finished. So I think it's a quite a vital significance to all the people of Zimbabwe to understand that when people say convenience and commitment are different when we look into politics, the guys who are in the parliament right now, they are there with their own personal agendas. And they are saying it on record without fear or favor. So going forward, it's a matter of a choice to the people of Zimbabwe to understand that these are the people who are there. And when someone was saying, no, us as ZANU-PF, even if we don't want to go to 2030, the opposition like it and all those things. We saw this from the beginning when there was divisions and the recalls from the beginning. So at the moment, what is good for the people of Zimbabwe is only that they confirmed. It's no longer like an ambiguity or a hidden agenda. They've already confirmed that even if it is 2040, it's okay with them because they will earning their salaries, they will negotiate 24/7 for off-road vehicles and everything which they want for their own personal gains, not concerned about the operation cost the country is facing economically at the moment. So it's up to the people now to see what is the way going forward, even to whoever gonna come to say, I'm going to oppose this. I think as people of Zimbabwe now, we need to look at those people, what they're gonna bring to us, what they're gonna do in terms of change the situation in Zimbabwe right now. Because I can tell you, Mof, to the person who can be borrowed 100,000, you won't be affected by the operation costs, even in terms of business in Zimbabwe, even buying food. You won't be affected because there is money on the table for him. But to the poor of the poorest and the average, it's still, I don't know what I can say, but it's still going on poorer and poorer and poorer because any product which you can buy right in Zimbabwe, it's double cost due to the operation cost, no electricity. There's a lot of things happening there. There's a lot of even dramatic events happening. So I'm quite interested to see what's gonna even happen within ZANU-PF themselves, because we know that it's not all of them who can keep on supporting the same agenda, because when it comes to positions, if the opposition fight for position, the same applies to ZANU-PF. They also fight for the positions internally there. But the question is, what should be done and what the opposition, they even who can come ahead, Dr. Tadin say, we're going to do ABCD. Now we want to see who can stand up toe to toe with the current situation which we are facing right now, because at the moment, there is -0 in terms of opposition in the parliament. It's only one party there. So, yeah, it is what it is. But at the moment, whoever is in the parliament right now who tell himself that I'm the member of parliament, he's lying to the people of Zimbabwe, to the people, especially to people who oppose and who are willing for the better or well-being of Zimbabweans. That person is lying. Even if you don't go to the farm today, don't lie to us. We are not fools. Even if you say any statement, we know you belong to the agenda. I agree with one say, even those who didn't go there today, as long as they are in. So we must not be fooled by all these people who are running around. So this is my lead very much.
Right. Thank you very much. Before before you come in with your list, I just seen this list of those that I've attended. I'm not sure. I saw it on David Quarter's timeline, so he's not sure as well if all of them attended, but it's a list that is going around. So it's a total of 15 MPs. So we've got the Tshabangu. Is it not Laslam Loshwa, who's a PR MP appointed by I'm reading it as it is being provided here. It's a Chamisa appointment, so it means this person was appointed before Chamisa went. And then there's Charles Moyo, who benefited from the recall, who won a by-election, who is being said to be the chief whip. And then there is Bridget Nyandoro, is an MP who went in under Chamisa ticket. And then you've got Pulu, who is an appointee of Tshabangu. You've got Juliana Makuvire, who is an appointee when Chamisa was there. So it's being presented as Chamisa appointed. Then you've got Samantha Mureyani, PR MP, Tshabangu appointed. Spiwe Moyo, PR MP, Tshabangu appointed. Otilia Sibanda, PR MP, Tshabangu appointed. Marikana, PR MP, Tshabangu imposed. Hansi Batitsa, PR MP, Tshabangu imposed. Tokozani Kupe, PR MP, Chamisa appointed. Lillian Sibanda, PR MP, Tshabangu imposed. Constance Chiwota, PR MP, Chamisa appointed. And then there's one Ngwenya, PR MP, Mash East, Chamisa appointed. So that is the list, that I have. So it's a total of 15 people.
Very interesting, Uncle. No, thank you for that. I've just pinned your article on top there so people can see. So out of the 15, according to the list anyway, there's four MPs that were elected under under Chamisa, and the 11 are obviously Tshabangus. So it would be interesting to actually know, in detail, but I think what it gives then to the people is, for example, those guys that were elected, under, I think under Tshabangu it's a given. We know what's happening. But if there are people that are, were elected under Chamisa as well, that are still there, is given. I was reading somebody, on the comments. I think there was somebody at Taura Jogutianzi. I can't remember the exact words, but saying those guys that have not actually gone to Precade farm are even more dangerous, because those guys have already taken a different route from real opposition. They've not gone to Precade farm today, and but those guys can be even more dangerous, because we know the real opposition. But thanks, Ango, for the list. Guys, on info, pin up at top up or list the one watch over, that have attended. If anyone has got any more information or different information to that, please just send it over so we can share with the citizens. To do. Anyway, thanks, Ango. Let's move on to. I think we're coming into.
Presentation. Firstly, would like to praise God, glory be to God for this time and moment. Tinati takazvonga, but as vanoita basa ngavatendwe. I give thanks to Nyamashisha, sekuru wangu Mhofu, everybody who has actually facilitated this space. It's a combination of two. God provide this space, the willpower is the reason why we're here. And as we begin the new year, it's a good year. Forgive me. It is not our fault. And let's forgive our parents. Havana zvavakatadza. Kunyangwe tichibvunza hedu toda kuziva mhosva yavakatadza, because we cannot be struggling in a struggle. Takatadzei. We can't be scattered all over the world. Going forward, consistency, which speaks to something that is built over a period of time, and underlining giving up is not an option. it can only delay progress. And I allow me to brag. I've been consistent. I've apologized in advance. And pretty much everything that is being said, I've said it. You can also open the mic and say so. It doesn't mean that you are the best. It doesn't mean I'm the best. Chimbwana nazo ni msumwe chete. Revolution, I've been for years saying culture revolution is trending. No, you've read Ogarati, it's not a coincidence in my view. And I always say unity is not cheap, something must happen. It's either Rufu or Zinona Kidza. You don't just talk of unity. It's trending. It has been, now I'm happy because it's real. We are slowly coming to a point of seeing things with one eye. His Grace, just a quick Grace, if you don't mind. His Grace. If I listen correctly, I'm not going to say personal Mnangagwa, but he must go. Today, it's a declaration. ZANU-PF must go, it must be crushed. The system must be crushed. The criminals that you did not give us as a list constitute the system, it must go. Period. The way forward is a transition government. The methodology comes from the people. Tinganyeperana zvedu tigodii, tigotamba kati. Without a transitional authority, period, hapana kwatiri kuenda. Kungonyengwa mzeve chete. The same things that we are talking about here about the leaders who has disengaged themselves from the electorate. Mark my words, I have a reason for this. It's not spiritual, because vanhu vemuzimbabwe they are fake. Sotanga kuona vanhu vachitita tiri kufarm. Pano vari pano paspace. Vamwe havachakwanisi kuuya kuzotarisana nesu, but chiuya haisunungukai because ngatiregerana, it's not our problem. Bwana nazvo nemusi mumwe chete. Again, handikangamu kuti ndibvunze mubvunzo. Bvubvunze, hapana kuba kwakadai, guys. Vakomana nevasikana, there's nothing like this. Hapana thagari yakadai. It's a cult. If it's not a cult, this is the sound is what chi. And if you think what you are hearing, even if you don't believe in it, that it's not just showed farm. It's not you right. Vanoziva cult is a cult. Inodyiwa nevari mudanga. I may not talk about solutions, but solution number one starts with denial. We've been in denial for a very long time. It is what it is. Unfortunately, it is what it is. In Anchada, I'm selling a logo here in Precade for free. I copied it from one of us here, a young lady. It provoked my mind. Kutaurisa kunonetsa. Atichada tinoshika chete. Izvo achada kutaura izvi. Who am I to detect? I'm not a detector in Simbaracha and Inachangu Kuvukura, and thanks for technology. I've been saying the same thing consistently. Amuna politics. Sorry, Dr. Tadin, to break your heart. Amuna, people are tired. They are now sober. Politics, there's no space in this issue. Hakuna politics in Zimbabwe. It is what it is. Kungobirana vakadzi nevarume kugara na bhibho vanhu vakarara kungotsotsana chikiribiri chete chikorokoza muchingo ndopatasvika. But it's never too late. It is never too late. Declaration, nyamashisha pano na mhofu munowirirana neni ndogara chitaura varume ndakabvunza kuti Chamisa akamuka akahenga mabhutsu tisaita sei. It's not just Chamisa, it's just an indicative kuti zvinhu zvikamuka zvakachinja tinoita sei makomrades. Are we ready right now? We could be talking about let's procrastinate. Let's not procrastinate. Let's conspiracy amunoramba. Cash flow projection, it's conspiracy. It's an assumption of what is likely to happen. Those are kuti rise. Mukanzwa vanhu vanoti hatoda ma-V11 conspiracy dzatanga ndo vanhu vari kukuraya pfungwa because totambwa nyowani takakotsira toteera kumasure. We should be talking of planning zvakanangepi. Isotaurisa kaisu ndo redu. I'm not there to fix. I'm the culture watchdog, I'm the economic watchdog. And in Chabukura kusvikira basi right Tshabangu. Yezvemazvoona anchataura zvakawanda. Those you've heard. Ndinofunga ose takafanana vakawanda vanotaura you don't want to listen to them. His position was not just for fun. Here we are. Catalyst declaration in the eyes of the world. They've agreed to destroy politics in Zimbabwe without your consent as the electorate. Sakamchaita said, I'm more than happy because and this it's all summarized. This is there, it's the message is there. Could ask the people of Zimbabwe. But we can't just to find out what instrument was used to put this person on Chaba. And the problem is not Chaba. The problem is not necessarily ZANU-PF. Maninzo zvakanaka. ZANU-PF is answerable. Mnangagwa is answerable. Vakafa mangwana wa Mnangagwa. I don't wish him dead. It's a fact. Mugabe wakafa. The system must be crushed. Dealing with symptoms, dealing with Tshabangu. Yes, but it's not good enough. It's a fact. Declaration there, goodbyes, Nyamashisha. I'm giving reference. Many times I've said, guys, one side you sympathize with Zimbabweans. And the removal basket sympathize with me. So I'm not pointing at anyone. Goodbyes are never easy, guys. But they're costly. Marondera ku Megore interview amtini. It's very short. Vatana nyaya kumgagao. Msuno ndakaona video yaitaura nezvezanu kuti zanu yakangonyuka from nowhere yainzi liberal party. Anotanga uzinzwa nasi. I get so emotional. Emotional pakuti saka vana veZimbabwe vachazviziva rini. The one thing that he said is with this discussion zvanda kutaura vakati ini ndakasvika pakuti vari kuita dilly-dally takauraisa vana over a training program. And I like what he said. He didn't say vaka. Then he says they started demotivating. You say he declared we are moving forward, which is what we need to agree here, guys. Asara. Goodbyes are never easy. But they started pulling down the children because he's using live ammunition. He says, Ndakati nyangwe tikasara tiri 5. Train. It is what convinced them to masure. I'm pushing a spirit of what His Grace said here, what you are saying here, so that we understand kuti aiwaka 2025 in my view aisinguva yekuchataura ngano tafataona mahoso. It means kuti utaona zvakawanda, waona zvakawanda, tanzwa zvakawanda tikatuka kuti muchaita sei. To me, it's a lemon. Let's take that statement positively. It's critically important, though it was used negatively. Kuti muchaita sei. It is the primary question. Say it. Done. Tatoa paridzi tese panapa. Every day we come to preach. Hazvina kuipa. But what are we doing about it? Let's declare tikasara tiri 5 as an example. It's okay. Tikunyarana panapa makomba. Vamwe vari kutofamba nebhora redemocratic system. The Western democratic system will never work for me, you, and all of us. Forget about it. But we are failing. Fear of the unknown. We are not consistent. It will cost us more than what is happening. Some of the comrades here have disappeared on this particular space times number of spaces across the divide. Zimbabwe, amotatokangamwa nemazita. So we have to declare. A declaration speaks to what Benjamin Burombo, whom I've pitched here. It is a voice like mine. I'm not trying to equate myself with Benjamin Burombo. But I fight with one hand to save my people. I'm copying from Benjamin. The other hand, I'm fighting my fellow Zimbabweans who are trying to attack and insult, and I don't blame them. But forget about me, forget about Nyamashisha. I'm just offering myself as an example. I'm not saying I'm special. Go back to Benjamin Murombo, you will see that he provoked all these nationalists that we are now hero worshipping. Tichiteera muswe evamwe varume zviri nani timboteera magaro evakadzi. Zimbabwe wants a woman. The young people of Zimbabwe now mind vachatirerutsira dambudziko, because I think we are naive to follow people, not ideology. It was said, repeating what His Grace said, I don't know what I'll be doing. There's no scratch our head. How do we start ideology? That is the problem. If I say something, if you say something, if you give, and there's a protection act on donation. If you donate something, fratira, flush the toilet and go. It's not yours. And that's another tip, guys. Kana muna achia na idea. Ngapa terms and conditions. Donate to the people. So we are far from an individual. And the dead bodies, they don't fight any battles. And there's no tenure, there's no time, there's no turnaround. Yakuti, this is when we can say we'll deal with this, unless we do not understand the magnitude. To be warned is to be armed. It's not to weaken the people of Zimbabwe. I'm determined, but we need to first of all understand the complexity of our situation. I always say, do not trust me, comrade. In any scenario, do not trust me. But if you want to find out about me, it's easy. There are people here who have been in the special branch. There are people here who work with the Department of Military Intelligence. The list is long. Including there's a way of finding out. And then come and expose me. It's that simple. That's what those don't pass. I will humble myself and not say I know. I have a strong feeling. Whilst we are pointing fingers at the leadership that has exposed itself, which is good for us, we are forgetting that we are infiltrated with that. These people were like me, you, and all of us back then, and they were elected into office. And it's a fact. I will yield my mic for now. Because I've put an apology in advance. I know I've confused many. I've hurt many. It is what it is. Hakuna mwana wa mai takati tichanetsana panapa nyamashisha tikati ticharovana panapa tisati tatanga. Noise yamuri kuona isati yatanga. And what it means, zvichaita kuti tiite zvataita zviya zvichangoita zvoga uku vema-elections uku ve-revolution. By the way, revolution hakusi kunonga matombo. It means atichada.
Right.
And the struggle for economic freedom continues. It's not a one-day event. It's not a one-man bank. But victory is certainly guaranteed.
Right. Thank you, Signoro. Thank you. Yes. Let's continue with the conversation, guys. Pre-cap farm visit and resolution number 1. I think the resolution number 1, there were some white caps that were on there. I think they were printed on there. I've just been looking at the videos, and I've heard the audio at Tshabangu, but I hadn't seen the video, so I've just seen the video. Ndaona president vachinakizwa singaite Tshabangu achitaura kuti kana president if it means president should stay in power. President was laughing. Vanga vachiseka vaMnangagwa naamai Mnangagwa nevamwe vaChabangu vachisumudza ruoko vaChabangu vari very energetic. So it's a spectacle to watch. It's a spectacle to watch. But anyway, let's continue with.
Mkoma Titus maona ere ya first lady achidzidzisa opposition kuti unofana.
Yes, yambotaurwa naanko. Yes. Achitaura how we should behave in the constitution. Yeah, so one sec. Yeah, so I did saw that one as well. Yeah, trukutarisa trukuona zvedu, but yeah, very interesting. But anyway, let me bring a lady's voice. Now start Nambona Masambo earlier on. We have not yet. Please, and Sister Comfort and all the other ladies in the platform, please take the mic. We would love to hear your voice as well. But for now, we can kuna mic waze. For now, please take the mic.
Thank you so much, Uncle Jade Namkoma Titus. Now, nyaye kupika, we shouldn't be surprised. Pakarongwa zvaiye Tshabangu izvi, that was a plan yakarongwa kubvira kudhara. Saka hazvitishamise izvozvo zvekuti vari kuita zve2030. Isusu tofanira kungoziva chete kuti hakusisina inonzi opposition. All those people chero vasina kuenda kuprecap, they are part of that.
Sorry, quick interruption. Varikuona mutambo chikwata cheManchester United chatungamira nechibodzwa chimwe chete. Chikwata cheArsenal hachina chachagoesa. But
Mukoma Titus kando zvatisingade izvozvo.
Sorry, Mike was it. Enderenyi.
Supporter Arsenal saka muda undirwadzisa. Anyway, saka ndanichitaura hangu kuti izvo hatisisina opposition. Saka we need to look at it like that. Kuti vese vari muparliament vese vaya yatozanulite. Saka opposition. Zvazvino there is nothing. Saka meno kuti kune vamwe vanhu vari kuti tiri opposition. We can't even hear their voices. Vanoti vane mapata avo ari kupi. We are not even hearing their voices. Saka opposition hakuna. Muparliament muya it's all zanulite. Vari kunze vacho vari kuzviti opposition, they are doing nothing. Saka opposition at the moment hatina. Saka let's start from there. Kuziva kuti we don't have an opposition. Saka natiri kuda kuita opposition ndisu vanhu vacho. Ngatitotangai kugadzira zveopposition. Hakuna opposition. Vese vari kuuya pasipesa vakabira vanhu ngavazive kuti no more. Opposition yatichatanga vanenge vasiko. Don't be frightened kana kutya kuita opposition proper. Let's do the opposition. Isusu vanhu vari progressive, we are ready for proper opposition. Kwete zviripo izvi. Saka ngatizive kuti kana tichitaura munhu wese anouya achitaura kuti opposition, there is no opposition anymore. Let's look at it like that. Thank you for the space. Bye.
Thank you very much, Magwaze. Thank you for that. Okay, let me move on to, I think, no, let me see what's coming on. Okay, so GHK, then Koma Padabe.
vamaida kuita unity navava
ana chango
vese zvavo ndovanhu vamaiti tiita unity navanhu vadai
chabvunzai zvenyu mukoma
because it has make sense Uncle Jesus. Inonzi ndanditori rangu masubmission ari kuitwa apa and I've got my comment regarding to that. Allow me a little bit of time because those that moda kuzondidimbura makuti maheko. The first comment that I will pass is that bringing Chamisa's name into the Precade debacle is very mischievous because these MPs, they defied Chamisa and they went to parliament against his advice. If you recall, on the 25th of August, they blocked Nelson Chamisa on the premise that he's not an elected individual. And they went on to hold the parliamentary caucus where Wende and Mafume and their team bullied the MP to go to parliament against Chamisa's advice. That is not in the public domain, but that is what happened. Their reasoning was that they must not listen to an individual, but to an institution, which is CCC. And they went on to the parliament on that basis. And it was all about themselves, and it was never about the citizens or the constitution or the institution itself. I will tell you reliably, with confidence, we had a meeting with two MPs. We called two MPs and we held a meeting with them. And we told them point blank that we were not happy with what they did, and they continued to stay in the parliament because they were rubber stamping ZANU-PF policies and they were giving ZANU-PF legitimacy. They got angry and defended themselves through some funny justification. They were very angry and said, no, you need to understand that we'll be departing the arena of the struggle if we leave the parliament. That is where we engage with ZANU-PF. But we are like, you do not have a majority. You are just wasting your breath. And we are rubber stamping ZANU-PF policies and giving ZANU-PF legitimacy. This is what they are now being used for to justify 2030 agenda. So Chamisa resigned. And when he resigned, he issued 13-page statement. In that statement, there is no way that he announced that he appointed anyone to continue his mandate in the parliament or anywhere. And he clearly announced that he will return when he is ready and that he will announce his return. So those that will now claim to speak for him, they are lies. So these MPs, they stayed on, the one that stayed on in his name. They are feigning fake loyalty. If they were loyal, they were supposed to leave the parliament with Fadzaima and Rafi Makam. I say so because of that list that is being peddled around saying elected under Chamisa, pro-Chamisa. They are not pro-Chamisa. If they were pro-Chamisa, they were supposed to leave the parliament. But they stayed on. We do not trust them. We will never trust them. We will never embrace them ever. No matter how often they will appear and talk about unity, we are done with those MPs who stayed on and betrayed Nelson Chamisa in the name of preserving the constitutional and institutional values, which were fact. Because when we told you, but nobody wanted to listen. Because Kupe is a byproduct of regional politics that were fostered by Workman Nube's camp. They are the one who demanded their inclusion at the expense of the ailing Tabitha Kumalo. Her return was not endorsed by Nelson Chamisa. That's a lie. Kupe was forced on Chamisa by the same people that are handling Tshabangu. He has done it again, from nocturnal coup plotting meeting in Johannesburg with Christopher Mutsangwa to feeding the fish at Precade Dam and to this 23rd agenda endorsement. I can say Kupe has come to a full circle. And as opposition issues, because we tell you to Mnangagwa, but you still go ahead and endorse the very same person in the name of unity, fake unity. So, these guys are setting up a narrative, like I said in the last space, that this is a 23rd agenda and the one-party state agenda. They are decimating the opposition. And on our watch, while we are busy debating here and analyzing and making analysis and taking no action like what the Mozambicans are doing. This guy, Tshabangu, is walking free in the street and no one touch him. How docile are we, Zimbabwe? Someone do conduct an atrocity on us in broad daylight, but the man is free to walk around and we do nothing. We even shake his hand and greet him. Tshabangu, SG. We even dare call him SG when we meet him. Instead of giving him one baram clap, no one does that. The guy represents no one who elected Tshabangu. He represents no one. He does not have a single constituency. And he's holding the MPs at ransom. And MPs out of their greed are capitulating because they are greedy. Right? Look at what happened today. The parliament itself is in violation of the constitution. Mudenga endorsed 2030 as who? The man is supposed to be a neutral Speaker of Parliament, but he stands on the podium and endorses 2030 agenda. The Speaker of Parliament, who is supposed to uphold the neutrality of the state institution, goes on and endorses a partisan program and call for 2030, going against the constitution of the nation on our watch, and all we can do is talk. How weak are we? The speaker must be removed for flouting the constitution and going beyond his mandate as a neutral. That guy must be removed. He ignored the party leader, Nelson Chamisa, and entertained an imposter. After losing the court case, the last court case, why is Tshabangu still being entertained and why is Mudenda still in parliament? No one wants to challenge that. We're all talking. Precade meeting is a private event. We are meeting ED on his own personal capacity. I say so because there is no state protocol on a private property. It's a private property and there is no state protocol. So meeting EG at his own farm, you are now meeting him as a private individual called Emerson Mnangagwa. You need to learn to separate the president's office and the individual, because the president's office is enshrined at the State House and the Monumutapa building. So if you go to say we are meeting the president at his own farm, which does not happen to be a state property, you are in violation and contravention of state protocols. That is unfortunate. So the president has got a parliament, he's got a state house to address the MP and government officials. If he really was sincere about meeting them, he was supposed to go to parliament and not to throw a package and a veneer of fake unity saying we are meeting a Zimbabwe at your farm. It's not a sanctioned venue. So he does not need to meet them at Precade. He was supposed to go to parliament. And the Precade meeting is a meeting of private individuals. It is an absolute waste of state resources. It's a violation. Right? It's a constitutional violation and a total disregard of state protocol and its institutions. So Precade is an absolute waste of state resources. The farm is not a state property. It is an unsanctioned venue. So how do you observe protocol as someone's private property without getting expelled? That is why they were able to flound ZANU-PF regalia and chanting ZANU-PF slogan, because it's a partisan program, and this does not justify him calling all the MP from across the political divide and saying it is a state program, a state event. It was not. So Precade alone is the ground of impeachment and removal of the Speaker of Parliament. The impeachment of the president and the removal of Speaker of Parliament was it's a total violation of state protocols and total disregard of the citizens of Zimbabwe. So we as Zimbabweans, we have a duty to uphold our own constitution and demand accountability from these guys and say, this is not how we do things. Because you cannot challenge him on his own ground. So we need to start looking at what I said last time, defiance. You cannot go along with everything. Civil disobedience is necessary. This is what we as Zimbabweans need to start looking at. That is my submission for today. Thank you, Angojet.